Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, the winningest co-host, it's Tom. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hello, friends. I don't know about winningest, but, I'm here.
No, I just mean in the co-host battle. That's it. That's how.
Oh,
That's what
no, that's fair. Yes.
Yeah, because I made fun of Tyler
Tyler.
last week. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I heard.
Also joining us back on the show, and we're happy to have him, it's Mr. Paul Wagner. Paul, a Gloomspite Gitz aficionado. Paul, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Having a great night.
Hey, it's good to have you back on.
Thank you.
We are going to be talking about the Gitz tonight, doing the full review. But of course, we've got some other stuff first. Just as a slight aside, my throat is a little sore today. So as a result of that, I'm going to have to talk a lot and wreck my own voice and feel terrible tomorrow. Willing sacrifice for everybody. But I won't be getting super loud or anything like that. Just, as a warning. Anyways.
I definitely will.
That sounds
good. Can I do that too? Can we pick up the slack?
You both are free to pick up the slack. Absolutely. But I'm going to be cool as a cucumber, Vince, tonight. Got to keep it an even timbre. Tom, let's start with the news. What do we got?
I got a rumor engine. Let's start there.
We do. It's a Kroiger.
You think so?
Yeah. It's their like Smashy Moon thing.
What about that? Yeah, go ahead, Tom. I'm sure you know better.
No, go ahead.
There was also that Saurus special character, the albino.
Sure.
That had also a very similar one, but yeah, no, it looks like Seraphon. Unless they're gonna start going into like 40K, and we're gonna get the Eldar, right? With their, this would be the perfect release to do a mixed release, so you could do half Eldar with dinosaurs and half dinosaurs with dinosaurs. Come on, that'd be cool.
Absolutely. What is it, Exodrites or whatever? Exodites?
Yep, Exodites, exactly.
Yeah, versus Seraphon. Yeah, it's going to be Kroiger because those kits are 1,000,000 years old and they have to make new kits. But go ahead.
Somebody had brought that up to me at Holy Wars this weekend, and I was like, "Hey, did you guys see that new army that just got announced?" Right? They showed
the good joke continues.
Great. It looks great. I'm excited about that. This new army that's coming out, and they're like, "Yeah, but I was just really disappointed that we didn't get any new Proxigor models." And I said, "Really?" Like, first, if anybody had read the article, it says very clearly that there's more to come.
Let me be clear.
Yes, let me be clear. But if there was ever any doubt, reading comprehension was an issue. These images just confirmed to us that there's more coming. That they only gave us a small snapshot into what is on the way.
I think they actually mentioned this was less than half.
It's exactly what they said in the article. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot more stuff coming. I don't think we have anything to worry about. And with the amount they've already replaced and new stuff, that tells me we're I cannot believe either there's new Kroiger kits, and I'm going to keep saying that, pronouncing it like that, or they just cut them from the line, and they don't exist anymore. Those would be the only two worlds. They're not going to be here's all this wonderful new reintroduced stuff, and then these guys get to be this ancient fine cast crap. No, of course they're going to get rid of
No, and the reality is that they may have condensed some Warscrolls and they may have trimmed some of the line. We just don't know, and we're not going to know until the book drops.
Yeah. So hey, good stuff. Cool. I'm realistically, I'm sure we'll probably see more of it or all the rest of it or something like that at Adepticon, along with hopefully more.
Yep. We had tons of other news that dropped this week. We did. As well, we got the announcement for the event exclusive mini that'll be first available at Adepticon, which you just mentioned. How about that Dark Oath?
Yeah. He's a cool barbarian dude. It's fine. Here's the thing, man. It's a good model.
It is.
But it's fine.
Are you gonna paint it? Yeah, it's fine, huh?
Yeah, I don't want to steal too much motion Tom's
for you.
Thing. Yeah.
What's my thing? Oh, it's
so,
fine. Yeah.
But look, it's just like, yep, there it is. I don't know, man. What am I trying to say here? I'm saying it doesn't jump out at me. Like, it's cool. It's a cool model.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it is just a Dark Oath dude. Right?
I mean, compared to the Cruel Boy that was last year, I am 100% more behind the Dark Oath than I am behind the Cruel Boy.
Sure.
Like, I love this, that they're doing something a little bit different, a little bit, instead of the Poster Boy faction. That's super fun. So, it's cool.
I agree. I agree.
It's fine.
I'm a fan. Like, I encourage them to continue to branch out and do the non-normal faction stuff.
Yeah, again, I just want to see something that really, like, knocks my socks off for this exclusive mini. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to look at something and be like, wow, that's super cool. That's super unique.
Have any of them ever done that? Maybe the double-sworded Stormcast wielder? Like, the two-bladed sword Stormcast.
Yeah, I mean,
wielder.
she's amazing.
Weird.
Sure. Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
Especially because she hit as well in a time where we didn't really have that many female Stormcast either. You know, now we've got a good selection of them. But yeah, sure. She was like pretty awesome for the time. She was so much more dynamic than they are now, or than they were then. I apologize.
Or that they have been recently. And the question is are there any others that have really hit? Like, there was the Night Haunt Hourglass guy, and he was okay. Like, he was another ghost. Like, I have a couple, but like he wasn't like knock your socks off. Like, have they ever had any that have really been like punch your grandma in the face?
They should.
I mean, they had that Warriors of Chaos or Slaves to Darkness warrior back in the day. I mean, if we're talking event exclusive miniatures, that is a long and storied line.
No,
and one of the favorite
is.
miniatures that I own is the Zinch Magister on disc that was available only at the German Games Day for one day that I somehow managed to get a hold of. And like, that is a mini that knocked my socks off. I'm like, just, yes, I will build an army around that. Are you kidding me? Right? And like, this to me speaks more of that mini than it does to the mini from last year, just personally. And the thing that I see this mini is perfect for is this is a perfect mini for a diorama, right? Like, this is a perfect mini to put in opposition to almost any other figure, and you can kind of make
like
that work.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't have to convert this mini to make it into a duel, and that's super awesome and cool.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up. I pulled the 2000. So at the Havoc, this is related to the topic of Games Day minis. I pulled the 2006 Night Goblin Fanatic.
Oh, so
model.
good!
Like, so I got my ticket pulled a bunch of times, and it was one of the last 4 or 5 things left on the table at Holy Wars. And I walked up there and I was like, "What's this?" And I looked at it and I was like, "How is this still here?"
Small box.
Great model.
People ignore small boxes.
Yep.
You know, the other thing is the Archaon Games Day model is one of those that really struck out. You know, stuck out to me.
See, that's my point. That these exist in the history of them. But all right, anyways, let's keep going because we have another event that is worth discussing. Of course, that happened, and we got some previews from. Yeah,
so LVO dropped a huge weekend for competitive Warhammer in the world. We had everything from like shadow broadcast of shadow rounds to just some wonderful playoff matches. Love seeing
Noah take the win.
Everybody. Noah take the win. Seeing Scooter up on top tables. Seeing Nate go 5-0 with a coach in his list and 10 cross moves. Like I mentioned to Nate on Twitter, I was like, man, I played coach this weekend. I like it. Great tech piece. I don't know that I could have went 5 games. So it's impressive.
Well, the
Absolutely.
The Trentinelli brothers as a whole are just, genetic specimens, really. I mean, they are superior to most of the rest of us in near every way. So I don't know what to say about that. That
checks out.
They're pretty great guys. But at any rate, yes, we also had the preview. And of course, the preview brought us new Seraphon. We already mentioned that a little bit. I have the picture of the Salon here. I didn't pull pictures of all of them. But I was very happy to see an updated take on Teeny Weenie's riders.
Oh, yeah.
The old skinks on
So
cold
good. I still have 2 boxes of those.
Absolutely.
And I use them as, to coin your word, Kroigers in my Southlands list because, I don't know, it's super fun. So I would totally be about that again.
Absolutely. So those guys were great. We've got our new frog. What you boys think of the new frog here, of the new Slann? What do you guys think about this dude? Paul, what's your take on this guy?
This was brought up to me in the Discord, and I have to say it's a thing. So have you noticed his toes?
Yeah.
They're like wrapping underneath his belly.
Yeah.
And then so it's like a spider tummy slam. So I'm all about that.
Yeah, well, he's doing a full on straight, sort of yoga pose there, right? Like he's very much sitting like that, and his little feet are curling up around him, but then his belly is over top of his legs. Yeah, he's very flexible for someone of his size, and so good on you.
Exactly.
I love the supplicant albino skink.
Yeah,
like that dude, he's just adorable. Like I love the little head dip and deference. Like it. To me, it actually sells the Slann and tells me more about the Slann than anything else on that model.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is a great model.
Yes. Yeah.
And what I like about it is this didn't feel as over the top as look, Lord Croak is cool and all, but I look at that model and I'm like, honestly, I don't want to paint that. That's like too much. It's just too much going on there, right? Like it's too much jingle jangle, bingle bangles that aren't the guy. This is a lot of stuff, but it's not as bad. Like, this is more contained. I can handle this. This is a reasonable amount of nonsense for my centerpiece character model. Right? I'm okay with it.
I love the Quetzalcoatl or whatever you want to call it, the winged snake on the bottom. Super cool. I love that it's basically a gamer couch, and it just looks so comfortable and so nice, and it has so many callbacks to the previous models, but it doesn't look like the previous models, and that's awesome.
Yeah, so cool stuff with the Seraphon. Stoked about those. We also got the Underworlds, another Dock Warband, this time all wearing the sort of masks, the sort of Sisters of Slaughter style masks, or the Blood Sisters masks, however you want to think of it, but the gold death masks. I couldn't pull a picture of them because the way they chose to do they do these rotating photo galleries, so that was annoying. But at any rate, they were fine. I honestly hate those masks. Real talk. Like
none of my Sisters of Slaughter have those heads.
Yeah,
No.
I use the actual witch elf faces on everything because I think they have really beautifully sculpted faces, and I don't like the masks. I just think they don't look very good, so I don't use them. But hey, cool. And then importantly, we had this thing right here, Warcry Blood Hunt. Boy, oh boy, let me tell you what, this I like. Yeah. So Blood Hunt, we've got the whatever sons or scions or I don't know we've got the puppies of Karanak. So a bunch of Khorne Karanak devotees.
They're good old boys. They're good old boys.
Yes, finally they have supplicated themselves to the true Lord of Khorne, Karanak, the goodest of boys, and going up against vampire monks. I mean, come on.
What's not to love?
This is great.
They're just fantastic.
Like they're not pirates, but monks was a totally better. That's a great way to go.
I wish I could have let you guys in and given you a snapshot of when Vince started talking about this box. We were driving and his tone just changed, and it was just he was in love. He was in love with this box.
Yeah, man, these guys are great. I
mean,
I like all these models.
They took two things that we know and they completely twisted them and made them into something that we love. And that takes a lot because we've seen the other boxes and I'm always oh, I like one or like the other, but for this one, I kind of like both of them, and both for completely opposite reasons. And so it's super cool. I mean, to be honest, the Hound of Karanak that has on all fours, that is such a cool design choice, and it is so well done. It's just fantastic. So But at the same time, like the monk's aesthetic is just, it reminds me of so many other things that they have Warhammer sculpts of in 40K and in AOS, yet it still manages to be its own independent thing. And again, that's fantastic.
Yep. This is perfect. This is the exactly the kind of stuff I want to see out of Warcry. This is an A+. I think this is better than Sundered Fate, Colt Sphinx. But they were both good. Like, that's not in any way me not, saying anything negative about Sundered Fate. I mean, the great failure of Warcry 2.0 or whatever is the launch box, that it was full of some of the most boring models, and that it wasn't either of these other two boxes, which would have been way better. No offense to the Rotmeyer Creed, who are like fine, and the other guys are terrible. But like average plus really bad, it does not equal a good box. But great plus great does. And that's what we've had basically with the last two. So, oops. So there you go. Yeah. So, good stuff. I do agree. Manny says the only sadness is we did not get closer to the crash spaceship in the terrain, just more meat trees. I do kind of agree with that. Like, I'm pretty much over this terrain at this point. I've got it. If you have all three of these boxes, man, how much of this do you need? How many meat trees do you have? A lot. You have a lot of meat trees at that point. Like, you can do a whole table of meat trees.
I want to make a whole table of meat trees.
Sure. I mean, that'd be a super sweet Ewok fortress. I mean, come on, that'd be awesome.
Sure. And it's perfectly cool if you're like gonna be Steve Herner doing thematic tables and stuff like that, at a holy event. But like if you're just playing Warcry and that's your main focus, you've got to look at this additional terrain in the third box and say, I guess I'm just gonna sell this or give this away. Like, what do I can pack my Warcry play mat area completely full at this point. Even if I'm playing like a double-sized game, I still have enough. Right, so yeah. At any
well,
rate.
but each time, unless I'm mistaken, they each come with their own cards for setting up terrain, and so each set of terrain has its own setups and its own kind of challenges to do. I haven't played the other boxes, so I can't speak to how much variety there is. But I have one complaint about this box.
All right,
that complaint is simply that we've seen an Arachnarok skull that seems to be on one of these trees, and I have not seen it yet. And that's my only complaint is I know you have it somewhere. Please let's get it out there so I can take that bit and I can make conversions for my models for it. Please, thank you. Bye.
I think you're gonna have to wait for box number 4. So that's what I'm hearing here. But probably not long now, I'm sure. All right. I think that was all the news, right? Anything else? All right, cool. Well, let's keep her moving. We got a lot to cover tonight. Let's go to some pick of the week. Paul, hit me. What do you got? What would you like to share with everybody this week?
So I sent you one thing ahead of time, and then I'm going to do a quick one thing that's selfish. So we do a podcast on the Mortal Realms Network called Path to Story, and we are starting with season 2. I believe on Friday is going to release for our season 2 to start a whole new series of Path to Glory podcasts. So if you're interested in the narrative, go ahead and check that out. And then my actual pick of the week is for a Warhammer Fantasy Battles podcast that just started up called The Herdstone. And so they are lore and game based. I was just listening to their Bretonnian review episode, which is their first army episode review that they've done. And it was really fascinating to me because, like, number 1, nostalgia. Number 2, it's Bretonnia. But number 3, it was a really interesting take on doing an army review because they had all the ancillary documents and everything else that is known about that release. So they were talking about how this was the buildup in White Dwarf. These are the things that we saw in White Dwarf later. And when they always talk about it, they talk about it and they say, oh, and by the way, this is what happened in the end times. This is how it kind of resolved. And so they're really knowledgeable.
So they really cover the whole arc.
Yeah, the whole gamut. Like, it's something that we can't do when we're doing, oh, the Battletome just released. All right, well, this is what we have, right? But they can go back and say, well, these are design notes that were in White Dwarf. They might have been 6 months after, but because they have all that information, right? and they can go through the entirety. And they focus on 8th edition. I think they call it 8.5. So the gameplay to me isn't all that interesting because I was much more into it a little bit earlier, and of course I enjoy AOS more. But everything else, something that I really enjoyed. So
no, that's a neat that sort of history and arc of the release is pretty cool. Nice,
yeah,
very good. Link down below. Tommy, what do you got with everybody?
Yeah, on my drive home, I enjoyed. I popped open to listen to some so a stream, or not a stream, but a video, and it was AOS Coach's review of the Gitz book. We're obviously talking about that here, but Coach is a longtime fan and lover of the Gitz, and he did a delightful show detailing. His insights and reflections on the book. So if you can't get enough after tonight, I would encourage you to go check out his show.
And talk about work ethic. I mean, he was in Las Vegas and he had 2 Battletome reviews drop from Australia. Come on,
it's good work.
That's a lot.
Absolutely. So for myself, I will also continue the Gitz love train. If you want more Gitz in your ear holes, Stuart. Iron Gutsman. The Iron Gutsman has a review of it up. It's actually him watching Coach's review and then commenting, because he's using Coach's slides to comment on everything. So that was really good. Check that out. That's linked down below. As well, on the hobby side, just a quick also shout out, Paper Cuts, who's a guy who makes really his amazing sort of channel about doing dioramas, and just like a really, really amazing sort of terrain and base maker and diorama maker. He's really inspiring to me. He put up a new video. I haven't seen anything from him for a long time, and he put up a cool new video. So if you're interested in, upping the game of your bases, your dioramas, your display boards, anything like that, his channel is absolutely worth a check out. And as we move from pick of the week into hobby time, I will say, hey, by the by, we are so close right now to 100,000 subs. I'm so excited. There's a huge milestone coming up. We're right there. So if you're not already subscribed, please do. We'll be back next week with Beast of Chaos. Don't worry, for all you Beast fan out there, we haven't left the herd stone behind. You'll be getting your love too. But hit like, do all those things. Click buttons. It's a fun time. All right. Let's talk about some hobby time. Paul, what are you working on, man? What's on your table?
Thanks to GW, was able to paint up the Squig Shepherd. So that's a fun little mini, and I enjoyed him quite a bit. And then I'm also working on the boss on the big Squig as well. So
nice. You're very in theme for this week's show. I love it.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. Tom, obviously you and I's hobby weekend was somewhat demolished. That is to say, we didn't get a lot of work done over the weekend because we were playing a bunch of Warhammer. We were at Holy Wars.
Yeah, we were playing ringers for Holy Wars.
Yes.
I got to roll dice with Ben Sava and Francois Villotron on Twitter. I got to play Sean Troy, just all the great folks, Zach and Kamran. Got to roll dice with some new folks. So it was a joy. It was joy. And there's tons of photos of that from the weekend as well up on Twitter.
Yeah, I was super jealous of that, especially after going to the last one, but wasn't to be.
For me, because of the weekend, I was pushing real hard, and there's a thing I was painting on last week that I can't really talk about yet, but I'll say I missed a deadline by a day to have it in to be shared. But that's okay. I'll still share it. It was because of the weekend I just didn't end up having enough time because I also had to prepare everything for this week's show and, actually live a life. But that's finished. That thing is done. And now I'm actually just in the beginning stages of putting together, he's still mostly on sprue. He's a little bit together, of putting together the Demon Prince from nice. Slaves to Darkness box. I thought it was about time for him to go together and get painted because he's a super fun guy. So, yeah.
That is a great kit. I was playing against my friend, and he had an old Demon Prince next to a new Demon Prince.
Sure.
And it's so stark that the advances in design that we've had since that last Demon Kit Prince was released. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. That's It's crazy the change there. Yes, absolutely. Sean, it's wings all the way, baby. Wings all day, all night. We only do wings around here. That rack can take a hike. I don't wings. If you could have wings, you take wings every time. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that, gentlemen, let's get to the actual review. Let's do this. Boom. Here we are. Battletome review. Gloomspite Gitz. Okay. So. Travis says, which head am I going to put on him? I haven't decided yet is the answer. The least goofy one is what I will pick. We'll see what that boils down to. So, overview slide. As per usual. As per usual. The 40,000 foot view. I'll talk about my opinions then, gentlemen. I'm keen very much to get both of yours. The keyword bingo is largely gone. Happy day. This is very much now an army where you can put a lot more things together. Now, there are still 4 core forces here, right? Goblins, squigs, trolls, and spiders, as you would expect. But most things have the keywords you would think they do. Is there a goblin on it? Then there's a goblin-related keyword. Is there a squig that he's writing or around? Then he's got a squig-related keyword, right? And so on and so forth. So these things work more or less how you would expect them to. There's a lot of good power pairing and things like that, but it's much more synergistic. It is still, to some degree, a trading and attrition army, but there are some very powerful elements in this book. With a few there is a few glaring sort of obvious weak points as well. But man, oh man, there's some stuff in this book that's like, it's pretty good. If you told me in 6 months this book has like a 54% win rate, I'd believe it. I'd absolutely believe it. I think in the hands of a skilled pilot, this thing is going to really, really hum, like a well-oiled machine. I think for the average skill player, it'll perform well, and it'll be a fun time. That's sort of my take on it. I think it will respond pretty reflexively to higher skill. And my last point, and we'll talk about it when we get there, but from a design perspective, there are some rules in this book I'm just not very happy with because they shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be in this book. I don't mean that negatively. They're not even like bad rules or badly written. They're just don't belong in this tome.
You're saying that they don't. This army does not vibe with those rules.
Correct. I just don't think they actually belong here. But we'll talk about it when we get there. It's not a lot, just a few. There is one rule that I think they touched a third rail and will live to regret it. And they will electrocute themselves. But we will cover all those when we get there. Okay. So high level, very positive. Lots of good stuff here. Vast improvement over the last one. Paul, what's your take? 40,000 foot view. What do you like? What do you think?
I own all 4 of the sub factions for this army, and I feel like I can play all 4, and I feel like I can play them together, and that's awesome. I mean,
exactly right.
That's what you want out of a battle tome.
Yeah, a lot less siloing this time. That's an excellent point. They can really run mixed forces. In fact, I think the best builds are probably going to be quite mixed between the 4 forces, I'll say.
Well, and a lot of that is the keywords you were talking about, how Spiderfang now have the Grot keyword for their basic troops. That's great. Thank you.
Right.
That's all I wanted.
Yeah. Is there a goblin on top? Cool. Like it just, again, they went with the logical sort of what you would expect. Okay. Tom, what's your high level take?
Yeah. I mean, I ranted pretty hard about like the ghettoization of this book, the keyword ghettoization, and that just has simply evaporated. Like that's just not present in this book.
Right.
And so many times where I'd be like, oh, it's restricted to Gloomspite Gitz. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's everything. right? Like, because like it was my knee-jerk reaction that I would be like, oh, this thing's going to be restricted to this, and I'm like, no, wait, that's the entire army, right? And so it was funny just how different the book felt, you know, when I got into it, to see how well that they had spread out the keywords across the army. So I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Absolutely. Okay. Cool. Let's rock and roll. So let's get into the specifics. Da Bad Moon. It spoke to me once. Behold my incredible artistic skills. Everyone, this is what we call top quality art right here. I will be debuting at the MoMA next month, so look for that. But no, here's how the Bad Moon works now. It starts on the board. It's much more predictable. Like, it starts in a table quarter of your choice.
Yep.
I'm not going to go through all the rules of what happens if there's two Gloomspite Gitz players and so on and so forth. Just, you fight over the moon, okay, is the short answer of what happens there. Now that this army is what it is and very fun, it might actually be a very real thing that people will have to be looking this up a lot on how to roll off and take control. But nonetheless, assuming normal play, starting in the second battle round, before the priority roll, I predict that will almost never happen before the priority roll.
I managed it once out of the 8 turns that I've played of this.
Yep.
But I'm still getting used to it. But like, yeah, I hope one day.
Everybody who plays this is going to be like, all right, priority roll time, right? Because that's the exciting roll. And then they're going to roll and be like, oh, crap, hold on, wait, we need to roll the moon.
Yeah. The Gitz player is going to be like, nah, dog. It's the moon time.
Yeah, sure.
But then it serves a different purpose, right? It's either like, oh, I got the roll. All right, now I get to move the moon. Or I lost the roll, but at least I get to move the moon, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, starting in the second battle round before the priority roll, the Gitz player rolls a die. On a 1 to 3, the moon stays in its current location. On a 4 to 6, it moves 1 step forward. So, it's still moving in the same basic way. That is to say, table quarter to center to opposite table quarter to off the board. But it's functionally very different because it is starting on the board. So you know that like your army in that table quarter will be benefiting from the moon.
Yep.
I will also point out there's quite a lot of corner-to-corner deployment maps in the current season. So it will actually be quite easy to have sort of your whole army under the effect of it, whilst, if you want, in round 1, while still pretty easily staying and spreading out over your deployment zone. So that's nice. And it's a little more predictable because it can't jump just suddenly double step off the board or something. If it's in if it's in the 1 quarter at most, it's going to move to the middle, right? And if it moves to the middle, obviously it does affect the whole board still. And if it's in the middle, there's a 50% chance that it stays in the middle and continues to give you quite a powerful board position. So this is all good. Now, it's entirely possible, of course, still, that you stick the moon in your starting table quarter, and then you roll in round 2 and roll a 2. And then you roll in round 3 and you roll a 1. And the game is basically over and the thing never left your table quarter, right? That's still possible. Because it's still the moon, it's still, sketchy and random, and that's just destruction. Like, if you don't want to live the destruction life, don't play destruction. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
There is a way of mitigating it, though, which is nice.
There is. We will talk about him and why he's going to show up in every army ever in just a moment. Okay. But what, you might ask, are the benefits of being in the Bad Moon's pale, sickly light? Moon Clan units rally on a 4-up. All right, thanks. I hate it. Squigs run and charge. They have to be under the moon at the charge. At the time they want to charge is when they need to be under the moon's effect. Because it says, like, if they're under the light of the bad moon, they may charge, even if they ran earlier in the round. Like, it's sort of it's sentence structured very strangely, but they have to, at the point in time where you're declaring the charge is when they have to be under the moon. Trogs get +1 to save. pretty fantastic. Like, that's straight up pretty incredibly good buff. And Spiderfang keep their Venom mortal wounds on a 5-up instead of 6-up. So, hey, still there. All the rest of the nonsense is gone and good. The downside to it is this does mean that the casting bonus is gone.
Yeah.
Which is notable. But I like these 4 simple things aligned to the 4 simple sort of factions within the army that we talked about. These are easier to remember. The number of times that my Gloomspite Gitz player in my group had to go reference the book and be like, wait, okay, how does this D3 mortal wounds to a unit thing work? What am I rolling? You know, that kind of nonsense. All that dumb junk is gone. Now it's just straight bonuses. And all good bonuses, too. Like, yeah, those are all solid. The rally thing is too good, as always. And it's going to get very much worse in about 30 seconds from now, or 2 minutes from now, or whatever, when I turn the slide. But Paul, good stuff. Happy with all this?
Yeah, it feels a lot more like the Ideneth wave than it did, like it did before, where it was just so unpredictable, and it was a fun thing, but you could never really rely on it, and you just were hoping on that one dice roll to do cool things, and that's just kind of gone now. So it's nice because it just does the thing you think it should do. Right. And that's all. Yeah, it makes life much easier, and it makes life much more understandable. So that's cool.
Yep, absolutely. Ramium is very correct. If you said there are absolutely some units that occur in multiple benefits, like that are both Moon Clan and Squigs, and so can benefit from both of those. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and it's not precluded from, like, sometimes they do keywords are like, hey, you can't do this, or you can't do this, or only this faction can do this. They're not by the big factions, they're by the Warscroll labels.
Right.
So the mixing the army gets all of these benefits instead of just like, oh, if you have Glog's Mega Mob, then you get this rule, right?
Right.
Which is nice and helpful.
Absolutely. All right, Tom, anything else you want to say on the on the Bad Moon before we get into the rest of the Allegiance abilities?
I think that with the Trogs, which you misspelled, I think that it's
I didn't.
exciting.
I just left off the other G. I don't know how many G's go before S.
Two G's.
I'm keeping it 1 G.
I think that it's going to be surprising, not just from that +1, but because the saves on the Warscrolls actually went down as well. I think that they have a true anvil in this army now, and that's not something that they had previously. Like a true anvil in Trolls. So,
well, we're going to talk about some Trolls. That's going to happen because there's some crazy stuff over in Troll Land. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get there. Everybody but Nighthaunt should be, like, especially Stormcast and Slaves to Darkness should be quaking in their iron shod boots at something we're going to talk about in a little while, like, dear God. Okay. So, let's keep going. All right, so now we have this new set of things. Okay. I want to make a point real quick. I don't like the new heroic actions in here. I just don't like it. Now, here's why I don't like it. Because recently, in a couple books back, we figured out we could just start writing new heroic actions and make it an allegiance ability, right? I like it when an army feels like it relies on its heroes and has heroes that are important to the overall army, and, like, it's a hero-focused army. Like, if you had the Corn book and there's a bunch of new heroic actions or something, I'd be like, yeah, of course. Absolutely. But Goblin heroes are little dorks. Like, even if they're trolls, they're still little dorks. Okay, like, they're neither smart nor, and yes, I know they have base con and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, I got it. Like, I don't like this particular implementation of this thing. Save this kind of crap for armies that are hero-focused. The monstrous actions here are fine. Totally got those. Got it. You've got big, cool monsters. Get cool monstrous actions. Like, the Giant Spider and the Giant Squig both fit this for me. I would have much rather seen them just give Moon Clan and Trogs something else that wasn't a heroic action. Like, they could even have this just same ability and not be a heroic action or something, right? Like, once a game it can do this, or whatever. I just don't like deploying this particular technology because, all right, that's a design complaint, right? Like, I would like it better if they would match the things that they design to the theme and vibe of the army. The hero important armies get more heroic actions and do more hero things. The monster focused armies get more monstrous actions and things like that, right? Because when they just start throwing this on every book that comes out now, the earlier books that did have hero focus but didn't have any heroic actions in them suddenly feels real bad. Right? It's like, oh, because we didn't think of this yet, and now we're just going to throw it into every book. It really makes the old books suddenly feel pale by comparison.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I mean, it gets to the best, so
Sure.
I love it.
So,
But, yeah.
So I just don't think the heroic actions fit here. So there you go. And I don't buy it, Ramy. I'm sorry. They're bad heroes. Like, goblins are bad heroes. They just are. They're not heroes. Like, they're little idiots who have somehow rose to the top through a very base level of cunning, and they're barely holding on to their forces, as will evidence throughout this book. Like, they're just that's what it is. Okay.
My only complaint is that the special rule for the Trogs, the command ability, the heroic action, is called Smash or Wade and Smash.
Yes.
And then they have another ability that's called Trog Smash. One of those should have been Bash. That's my big complaint. You should have done a different rhyming word.
Yeah. Now, that all being said, that's a simple design naming sort of complaint. The actual abilities, the new heroic actions, I actually dislike both of these as well. So let's talk about why. This is like one of my there's only a few pain points in the book, but this is one of them. The Moon Clan hero, when under the light of the bad moon, rally 3 times without a CP being spent. Okay. So rally on a 4-up is pretty broken. Okay. And rallying, it's pretty broken.
I mean,
so
we're talking about
tripling
goblins
that.
Yeah, we are talking about goblins, but
are we? We'll talk about what we're talking about when we get into this later. Okay, sure. Like, yeah. But anyways, sure, it's a lot of rallying. Like, this is a lot of rallying. I hope you're playing an aggressive force that wants to go fight them in melee. That's what I'll say. And stops this from ever being used. This is a very powerful heroic action. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Like, super duper powerful. Because what it means is that anything, if you've got a Moon Clan hero, especially in the current season, your army's immune to shooting.
No,
I disagree.
because like even if you can rally 18 inches out, like you're no.
Okay.
Like
what am I
not,
shooting?
You're not.
Because I'm not diminishing your units. Let's say you got 30 dudes. Say you got 30 squig hoppers. Okay? It's a doable number.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I kill 20 of them. You're going to rally in the first turn and get 10 back. Now you're back to 20.
But I'm not in combat.
How
No. I'm not. I shot them. They're not in combat. I shot and killed 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now you're at 10 left.
The 4+ rally, is it on Grot?
It's on Moon Clan. Okay? They can rally squig hoppers back with this. It's not just the dudes.
Are you sure that squig hoppers have the Moon Clan keyword? I don't think they do. They have the Grot and the squig keyword.
We will
squig
go through all this, Tom.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The squig herd can't receive commands.
Squig hoppers also have Moon Clan.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do. I checked all of these keywords. This is a very potent ability. So then they go back to 20. And then they're going to rally at the top of the next turn again and go back to 25 on dice. That's immune to shooting.
Yeah, but my point is that they're not in combat.
Oh, sure.
I understand. And that's where you want them to be.
Of course.
And so what you're saying is I'm castling with squigs.
No, I'm just saying before I got there, like a lot of people are going to want to the premise of shooting armies in general, of enemy castle shooting armies, right? Yep. Are we talked about this in the GHB review, right? We said they don't care that they can't shoot the heroes, right? because in the end they want to shoot the units that are a problem. Right? That's what they're doing. Okay. And like they're going to shoot the problem units and try to remove them. But oftentimes you just don't remove units they're shooting alone. Now, if you have super high powered shooting and you can lift the whole unit, cool. That still works and that's great. But there's a lot of shooting in this game that's unit diminishment and weakening, and they're trying to weaken you down before they get to your castle. This is like literally the oldest strategy in the world, right? This is like Empire strategy circa 1992 when the 4th edition book was printed, right? And it's been the same strat for 30 years. That strategy does not work at all. It does zero to this army because by the time they get to you, they will basically be back at full strength. And if you do happen to kill the unit, they're just going to pull it out at half strength of the shrine. Okay.
I'm kind of okay with shooting armies having a hard counter though, rather than making shooting armies less effective. I'm much happier with having a hard counter.
I mean, they're still picking up models, right?
Hey, look, you've moved to a different counter to my thing. I said these guys are basically immune to shooting, and you both went rabble. And now you're like, wait, but it's good they're immune to shooting. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. I didn't make a normative judgment.
But if they're being shot and you're rallying them, then they're not in combat. And I don't think you're using them the way that you should be using them.
Oh, I'm just saying on the way there. I'm coming for you. It's just you're in a castle and far away. I got to get there.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
And again, not everything is immune to shooting, but I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
And I don't think that all...
That's why I said Moon Clan units.
Sure, and I don't think realistically that three units are going to be fully within a rally range.
Well,
like maybe.
I mean, it's 18 inches off of a general. It's not that hard. It's a big range.
And again, it depends on who your general is and all and where they're placed. Because that matters.
I think that if you're going to have them within your general, you're going to have a mobile general, and then you're going to be siloing your own army into, say, a squig army, right? You're going to be losing a lot of the benefits of this Battletome, which is that you get to mix it up together,
and
right?
You're snipeable too. Like if you're on a mangler, that general is now going to be the target of all that shooting.
Hey, cool, super fine, man. I don't, whatever. I'm not saying there's zero counters. Nothing has zero counters. I'm saying this is incredibly powerful. And if you're playing something like KO, I'm sorry about your loss. Because you're probably 80-20 in that fight. Like, this is a hard counter to Lumineth non-techless castles and to KO and anything like that. Like, those armies are nearly dead in the water.
With, 60 blocks of infantry.
No, again, it works on all Moon Clan units. I'm going to be rallying Boingrots and Squighoppers, baby. I'm coming in with knights. Big units of knights. I'm going to hop all over your face.
We'll see.
Okay.
That's going to be a lot of points, but I will concede. It is extremely powerful.
That's all I want.
I'm okay with Gitz being powerful, but yeah.
I'm generally highly sus of rally. Okay, on a 4-up. I am super sus. This trips my spidey senses hard when you say triple power rally. Right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
A fair point, Ramian. Like, there is a new KO book coming, so I'm sure that if we just escalate KO's shooting up to 1 million, then there won't be a problem anymore, and everybody will be very happy with that outcome. So, Dankhold Trogboss on the other end of the spectrum of sort of usefulness. When he's within 3 inches of enemy units, he can make a 6-inch move, but has to finish within 3 inches of enemy units. Any enemy unit at the end of this movement, 2+ suffers a D3 mortal wounds.
I like it.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's perfectly cool. I like it too. It's just, I'm saying, boy, you compare those two things, and we are talking about, a really big difference in efficacy there. But it's fine. The Dankhold Trogboss is awesome in this. He's fine. That dude is fine. He's got amazing stuff coming up. It's okay his heroic action is underwhelming. It's cool. That's a perfectly ability.
Let me make a point here. And my point is that when you can make a Trogboss wade into battle and he can do D3 mortal wounds against everything with 1 inch, and you say that's underwhelming, It tells you how fun this book is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Right, because that's an awesome ability. I would have taken that absolutely.
But he's already in combat. Like if he's using that, he's already in combat.
Sure.
Right, because that's
Hopefully
in
he's trying
that's
to hop
in a hero
or something.
phase.
Yeah,
like that's in a hero phase that he's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a neat mobility trick. Like it's not bad. It's just like it's cool. There will be some use for it. Right.
Make some fun combos with that too.
It's not like return 40 models to the table for 0 command points, which is what the other one says. So that's pretty good. Like, if I'm weighing the two abilities, move 6 inches into a more advantageous position or return 40 models to the table. Ooh boy, real tough.
Now, yeah, but if you're returning 40 Moon Clan, okay, fine. If you're returning 40 Squig Hoppers, that means over half of the points in your army is in Squig Hoppers. Like,
I got
that's a massive investment.
And they're within range of the hero.
Yep.
And none of them are in combat. And like as Ramyan said, he's played 3 battles with this. He's never been able to rally 3 units in the same turn because either the unit is dead or it's in combat.
Sure, I got you.
Or it's undamaged. Like, and so I don't think it's good. I just don't think it is meta shattering is what you're proposing.
I'm not saying it's meta shattering. I'm saying it's very, very strong, and there are certain armies that are almost that have that are incredibly on the back foot against this.
You said
nothing in this game is auto lose, but it's 80-20. And I stand.
You said verbatim, this army is immune to shooting.
Yeah, you're darn right, and I stand behind that. But that's not how KO wins games. They don't have to win games just by shooting.
Okay.
Right? Like, you didn't win all your games just by shooting. You also won it through mobility and positioning and other smart plays. Like, a game is never completely lost just because you can't do enough damage to the enemy.
Totally agree.
There we go. Then we're in agreement. All right. New monstrous actions. A Ragnarok. Pick one enemy hero, non-monster, within 3 inches and roll a dice. If the roll equals or exceeds the enemy wound characteristic, that hero cannot fight. This is bad.
Here's the deal.
Monstrous action. Just roar.
This should have been on a 3+. And then it would have been amazing.
What do you mean?
It should have been a non-hero monster that you target. Yeah, exactly. A non-hero monster, what it is. On a 3+, they can't fight. That's what it should have been.
It's a hero non-monster. Oh, on a 3+, they can't fight. Okay, I got it.
Correct. Rather than exceeding their wounds, if it had just been on a 3+, they don't fight, it would have been perfectly wonderful.
Yeah.
Because, like, those heroes normally aren't in combat anyways.
Right.
Those are your assassin heroes. So just let it be on a 3+, and let the people who are fielding Arachnaroks have fun.
Yeah, the person who's most scared of this is Sigvald.
Sure.
Because he's like 6 wounds.
You know what?
And he's like, oh no.
I would like nothing more than to put Sigvald in West.
Sure, like that's a bad day for him. Yeah. But a lot of the melee heroes you're actually scared of are immune to this effect. So that is to say, like an ogre tyrant who's souped up, or a mega boss, Gotrek. Yeah, like all these guys are just, they have too many wounds to be affected by this.
But if it had just been on a 3+,
sure,
that hero can't fight, then we would have been cooking with gas.
Like,
and it would have been a wonderful tech piece.
I cannot imagine a world where I choose this over Roar against anything I'm fighting.
Well, again, if in that other world, I think that there are instances where it is appropriate. Sure. With this, I don't ever see myself using this unless I'm also playing Gloomspite, who have 4 wound heroes, right?
Who you're, who aren't exactly the most terrifying in melee. Go ahead, Paul.
I think this is a fun little piece. It's not going to be reliable. I understand that. But this is a fun thing when you're running 2 Arachnaroks into 1 unit. One of them will roar, and the other one will try and pick off that support hero. And that means that you don't have to devote attacks from the Arachnarok into a support hero, and you can devote it into the unit. Now, I understand that's a very niche way of using it, but it does have a use. And I'm just happy they gave a monstrous reaction to an Arachnarok. I mean, that just makes me happy all day long.
Sure.
Yeah, so Jake Sofa said, if this was on a 3+, it'd be a pretty powerful ability on the 3+. Sure, it's Ipsum Lorem text right now. Because it is a non-functional ability against 90% of the battlefield. 95% of the battlefield.
That's ever going to come into contact with this base, yes.
Right. And so, like, at this point, it's just a non-ability. And to me, that's way more egregious than this being a powerful ability that needs to be toned down.
But let's end on a positive note. The Mangler Squig must have charged, can move 3 to 6 inches, but must finish within 3 inches of an enemy. Love it. I'm here for it. This is
I've used that several times already. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Fantastic. I mean, like, it's a slightly... Yeah, it's not quite as good as the Ogre ability in some ways, but it's obviously the lack of the wounds, the mortal wounds, but who cares? Like, that was always kind of icing on the cake, is the honest answer. You were really doing it for the mobility and positioning anyways, and in this case, we're talking about, like, that's some real potential movement you've got on your hands there.
And it fits so well with the model. Like, to me, this is exactly something that fits what the model you think the model should do.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just keep bouncing around, baby, just right over top. So, yeah, love this. This is great. A+, like, it's cool that you say you let your Mangler get where you need to get. Awesome. Awesome monstrous action, you know. Super fun and super flavorful and super in line. I love everything about this. This is A+ design. Well done. Okay, cool. 1 out of 4 ain't bad. Okay, but that's all right. Don't worry. It's all we're going. But the nice part about this is that was a little downward dip at the beginning, but we are on a hard upward trajectory from here. Okay, so don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. Okay. Command traits. Cool. Grot Heroes. I will just read these quickly. Clammy Hand. The general within 12 inches of the Loon Shrine can use the ability to make people come back twice. Loon Touch is for your wizards. It lets you cast 1 additional spell when you're under the light of the bad moon. Fight another day. Loon Boss only, but Loon Bosses of any variety may select this now. Mm-hmm. If after they fight, they can bounce away 2d6 inches. But they got to finish at least 3 inches from all enemies. The Super Nasty Venom doubles the mortal wounds caused by the Spider Venom ability, which could be potentially quite a lot, depending on the particular spider we're talking about here. And Squig Whisperer, Squig Hero only, +1 to hit and wound for the General's mount. Heyo. Just some, like, just some very strong buffs to the monster. So, okay. Cool beans. I mean, these are good. These are good. Like, find the one that matches the thing you want to do and how your army's built and go with it. Like, I think a lot of these have a valid take. The only one that doesn't sort of hit for me is Loon Touched. I think that's a skipper. But the other 4, I can easily see an army where I would go with that command trait. Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and just like the threat range on the Mangler is so big with that monstrous reaction, and then being able to jump him out.
Yep.
As well. Like, I mean, so you've got a 10 plus D6 charge range, plus an 18 up to an 18-inch monstrous reaction, plus another 12 inches. I mean, like, so that's what, 46 inches? Like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds great. I'll take that.
Yeah, it makes the dude mobile as all get out. Yeah, absolutely. But again, it could go on any Loon Boss. So that's sort of that's the easy one that you're like, man, that's really good. But of course, you can just keep your other ones. Any Loon Boss who you happen to have in charge could be doing that same trick, which is cool.
Well, and not only that, like, you could jump him where he could attack, like, in a combat that hasn't struck yet, and then 2d6 bounce to a combat that has already fought where he can't be selected as a target. Mm-hmm. So even though, like, so it could let you jump combats.
Remember, he has to finish at least 3 inches away when he does.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But you drop that 2d6, and then you run him to a combat nearby where that unit's already been selected, right? Mm-hmm. So what you do is you move him out of threat range of.
Oh, so you know they can't pile in and bring you back in.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm with
you. And
you.
then you can also put him on an objective too, which is nice.
Sure.
Yeah. But so the funny thing is that, like, that 2d6 way higher than his normal movement, like for the foot Loon Boss. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So really good options there for all your different general types, which is great. That's what you want to see. Cool. Let's talk about Dankholds, because we obviously haven't touched the Troggy Trogs yet. Alpha Trog is fun. That's our Super Timmy choice. +2 wounds, and you gain the monster keyword. That's fun.
It's really nice that they actually made a rule for my war boss from Holy Havoc. I mean, it was so awesome for them to do that. Thank you.
It was very nice of them. Trog Smash, he can do a bunch of mortal wounds. That's fine. It's another one of these things. It's fine. It's once a battle. But then we get to the most wackadoo thing that has ever been printed. The most powerful command trait in this book by far. Maybe the most powerful command trait in 3.0. I don't know. Could be. It's possible. It's pretty good. It ain't bad. I'll say that much.
Prince, let me remind you. There's a trait that gives Doc a 4-up rally.
That's
I don't want to start the 4-up rally thing again. We just went through that.
I know you're right. There's a command trait.
Chalice Order.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was an artifact, but no, you're right. It is absolutely a command trait. All right. Rescinded.
So let's
in the
dial
top three.
back.
In the top three. I mean, Loonskin is super strong. It just is.
It is. It is.
And you get to include one of the Gloomspite Gitz and the spells without paying the points. You don't pay the points for this thing. It's just in your army. And the general can attempt to cast them as though they were a wizard. Cast that on the spell as though he was a wizard.
Does it say that only they can cast them, or can all your wizards also cast them?
This is a good question. It's been it needs an FAQ is the answer. Okay. Because it says you can include one of the following endless spells in your army without spending any points to do so. And for now, once it's on your army list, everybody can cast it. And, you know, again, this is Mork's Mighty Mushroom or Scuttle Tide or the Malevolent Moon.
That's a free 5% point increase.
Yeah, and by the way, these are we'll talk about the endless spells at the very end. But yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad. For free, they're pretty darn good. You know, so if you're gonna have a Dankhold Trog Boss General, I mean, boy, it's hard to say no to this.
And it doesn't include the Cauldron as well, by the way.
Yeah, that's correct. It does.
So it's only 3 of the 4.
Yeah, I assume that it's you're gonna take the Mighty Mushroom probably most times and just throw it out there and do a lot of more wounds.
But like the spiders can be cast from anywhere. Like so they have threat from popping out of terrain. So that's pretty good.
So, but good options here. This is a good list. For whatever, lots of different types of players, you'll find a home here. Like I totally can see plenty of people taking Alpha Trog for the smashy troll monster general. That's fun. There's just a lot of good options on this list. I think they did a good job here. There's maybe like 2 on this whole list that I think are like meh. And it's not like they're terrible. It's just they're just not up to the snuff for the rest of the list. That's pretty solid. A lot of fun options no matter what you're going to do. All right. Anything else we want to say on the command traits there, gentlemen? Okay.
I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, good stuff. These are good stuff. These are good
when
things.
I read this, normally I Super Nasty Venom was always my go-to. But I'm not going to lie. Both the Loonskin and the Alpha Trog are tempting to me. Because they bring very interesting elements into this piece. So I just love all of it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about artifacts then. We've got lots of different sets of artifacts here. Okay. So the Leering Git Shield, unmodified hit rolls of 1 against the bearer cause 1 mortal wound to the attacker, and if the bearer is slain in melee, the attacker gets -1 to hit for the rest of the game. Oh, sorry, that's not in melee. It's just if they're slain, the attacker gets -1 to hit. I had to double check that real quick. Which is funny. I like that. That's always hilarious. Backstabber's Blade, skip. The Clammy Cowl, -1 to be hit for all attacks. That is melee and ranged, which is fine enough. Probably unnecessary during the current season, as a lot of your dudes just probably won't be targeted. But that being said, there are some big guys on big monsters who can take this because they have the Moon Clan keyword now, who wouldn't mind a -1 to hit, so that's not bad. The Moonface Mommet, or sorry, I skipped there. Loonstone Teeth Caps, improve the red. How about rend, Vince? This is what I get for. That's what I get. There you go. Improve the rend of your gob attacks by 1. All the squig attacks have something gob, and so this is your gob. Your gob rend goes up by 1. Very good. Turns out, like, I mean, if you want to just build the hardcore combat mangler, you know, you've got your obvious build in there of like +1 to hit and wound and +1 rend. That's a lot of stats moving all over the place, right? The Moonface Mommet is still the -1 to save rolls. The start of the combat phase is when it triggers, so not bad as always, but it's only wizards. And the Staff of Sneaky Stealin', add 1 to casting rolls for the bearer. Each time the bearer unbinds a spell, add 1 to casting rolls for the rest of the battle. Now the Staff of Sneaky Stealin' is kind of the least flashy, sexy of everything that we talked about here, maybe other than the Clammy Cowl. But it's really, really, really potent, and it's really, really, really important for an army that has a lot of good magic and no real cast bonuses. So yeah. I predict this thing showing up on a lot of lists. Paul, what's your take on these guys?
It seems like everything in there is going to be relatively useful. And it's nice to have that casting bonus because you're going to need it if you're going to do anything with casting, and it's helpful. It's very helpful. So,
can you imagine if that rule was sitting on like a Tzeentch or a Lumineth hero? Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
They wish they had magic items like that. Okay. It's potent. It's super potent. Tom, what's your take on these guys?
I mean, it's fine. Like, I think that the staff, like, I think it looks better than it is. Because, like, your Spiderfang don't have the Moon Clan keyword, right? Your Shaman?
Correct. The Spiderfang do not. Yes, that is right.
Right. So the best you're going to do is put that Staff of Sneaky Stealing on a 1-cast wizard. And so it's just not like, because who else is going to take that?
Unless you give them the thing that gives them an extra cast under the light of the bad moon.
Under the light of the bad moon. Sure. Yep. So like if you took that command trait and if you put it next to the king, and so you ran them around together, you could give them 2 casts at +1. Like, that seems like a really, like, you're throwing good money after bad. Like, just like
it's +1 unless you unbind a spell, and then it's +2 on 2, and then it's +3 on 2, right? You know, so and Skagrot is going to help you to control that moon and to make sure you're under the moon longer. So
I understand. I understand. I just I am not as taken by the Staff of Sneaky Stealing as some people are.
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can turn you around when we get to the sub factions, but we'll see.
Oh, I know they're good.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I think in my mind it's like maybe the Cowl sometimes for a particular type of hero that's trying to get in there and do some work. The Mommet, if you have a particular strategy of trying to really just crush enemy saves gone, which is a thing you can do in this army. And otherwise the Staff, because it's just a pretty potent bonus to your magic. But of course, that's just Moon Clan heroes. We got to talk about Spiderfang heroes and Dankhold Trog bosses. Now, this is the one place where Spiderfang got my favorite item of the book. They really did. The Headdress of Many Eyes. Scuttle Boss only. But man, is this a cool item.
Amazing.
The Headdress of Many Eyes, Scuttle Boss only. Only unmodified hit rolls of 5 or 6 score a hit for attacks against the bearer.
It's so good. In the last book, it was subtract 1 from hits. This is so much more fun.
Right.
This is
great.
This is a wild mathematical swing, right? Because it's unmodified. So like they can't all out attack their way out of it. It's nothing. It's just like you got to roll 5s and 6s. That's it.
Yeah, you need weighted dice. Right. Like, and if you don't have weighted dice, son, you're not getting into them.
Yeah. By the way, this is against shooting and melee. I just want to point that out. This is period. This is how much you benefit. So, it's pretty awesome. I will say that's like a pretty awesome magic item. And by the way, this is the kind of thing that feels super goblin-y to me.
Yeah.
Like, this passes the smell test for me. I'm like, yep, that is a goblin effect on a goblin flavored magic item. Like, I'm in for this. This is right where where I would expect us to be living.
Yep.
Right. Okay. All right. Nibla's Itty Ring. Wizard only once per battle at the start of your hero phase. Roll a die and add the result to the casting rolls of the bearer until the end of that phase. So for one phase, you can get somewhere between +1 and +6 to cast.
The last item I'm going to be taking off this list.
Sure. And then Totem of the Spider God. Other Spider Fang units wholly within 12. Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds caused by the spider venom ability of those units. If and only if IFF, the unmodified hit roll, was 6. It has to be the 6. No, it doesn't happen on the 5. They have a whole designer's commentary that's like, please, we just told you it was the 6. Please understand how to read. Okay, so yes, it's only on the 6. So even if you're under the moon and you're mortaling on 5 and 6s, it doesn't. The enhanced effect is only on the 6.
Still good.
But if you add 1 and then double, right?
Well, you multiply then add.
I think you always multiply then add.
Okay, well,
so so yeah, it's unfortunately we're not getting up to like 8 more per 6 anymore. But it's like I love all the small ways that this can be kind of turned up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I would build. I don't know that I would build for it anymore, like exclusively. Like I can see a Spider Fang contingent, but I'm not gonna do like all the Spider Fang.
Sure. Okay. Let's talk Dankhold, shall we? Because man, they've got some good choices here. The troll love continues. Their glowy Howsit got a lot better, like crazy better. 4-up ward, and if it suffers any wounds at the end of the phase, you roll a die, and on a 1, the ward is lost. A single die. So it's not. It used to be like if you rolled a 1 on the ward, you lost it, right? Which is like extremely likely when you're making a bunch of ward saves. Now, no matter how many ward saves you made, if you make them all, if you take 0 damage, you don't roll at all. If you somehow take any wounds, then you just have to roll 1 die and not roll a 1. You are much more likely to keep this 4-up ward now for quite a lengthy period of time.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Yeah, good stuff. The Speaky Skull Fetish. Start of your hero phase, you roll 3 dice. For each 6, you get an extra command point. In addition, the bearer can issue the same command up to 2 times in the same phase, but you do have to spend a CP each time. Very potent. Like, it's command point ramp, adding a 33% chance to get a command point effectively, as well as letting you double up on critical commands. You know, so double all outing or whatever. Always strong. And then Pet Gribbly, like flavor-wise, the absolute win. It's his little Pet Gribbly. And he had 1 to the bearer's wounds, but each time a wound is allocated, not negated, on a 1, the Pet Gribbly is squished, and the bearer gets +1 to hit and wound for the rest of the battle because they're angry because their Pet Gribbly died. Let me tell you
Adorable.
Yeah,
that's adorable and terrifying.
It's so much better than the last one, because the last one was, if an enemy unit attacks the bearer in the combat phase before the bearer has been selected to fight in the combat phase, then the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds after all of its attacks have been resolved. Like, this is such more fun rule, and this is such more of a Gloomspite Gitz rule to me.
Yeah. I love it. I love the Pet Gribbly so much. I love I love all this stuff. Like, this is great. Yeah, and again, a lot of good choices.
Makes me want to run trolls.
Yeah, like there's some solid troll choices. In case you're not seeing the theme here, there's a lot of options for trolls. And yes, Ramium, we will absolutely get to that. I want everybody to remember that the Dankhold Trog bosses can issue a command twice. Now, I just want you to lock that in your head now. Put a little pin in that one. It's relevant. We're going to come back to it later. You know, because it's going to be important.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
This is foreshadowing. We're teasing that right now. Chewbacca on a spider
Super subtle.
body.
It's great.
Yes.
Super subtle.
Yes. Okay. So, good stuff. A lot of good choices here again. I mean, the headdress is cool, the totem's cool, and then all of the Trog boss ones are cool, honestly. Okay. Spell lore. 2 lores. 4 spells and 3 spells. There's several high-ish casting values in here. It can be tough, obviously. If you're not running any bonuses, that can be tough. But you got some good spells. Itchy Nuisance is the strike last effect. Nick It is D3 mortals, and on a 10-up, you remove an artifact of power. Squig Lure is reroll charge rolls for the Squig unit. Very important bonus, actually, to give out to a Squig unit. And the Hand of Gork is it's your teleport. Normal restriction teleport. Like, they have to be within 24 inches in range, but then you can set them up anywhere and 9 inches away. So, yep. So, good stuff. A lot of the like damage spells are gone. It's all like utility stuff now. My actual favorite spell in this entire list rests with the Spider Fang, which is Scuttling Terrors. Cast value 6, range 18. Pick one Spider Fang unit in range. They make a normal move. That's all it does. Incredibly potent. Love everything about it. Extra 10-inch move in the hero phase. Sounds awesome. Like, hero phase moving, pretty good. Pretty good. Tom, any thoughts here?
Love it. Just love it. Yep, I'm in. I'm feeling the lack of cast bonuses.
Sure.
Like, it's going to be an issue. So a lot of this isn't really surprising. I like Nick It's in the lore, and that and we'll talk about this. That when the Loon King rolls out, he's gonna have the entire lore, which is super helpful. Like, I think that's a big deal. I think that don't sleep on Curse of the Spider God.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. To me, the unmodified save rolls of 1 and 2 always fail, means the math never gets stupid.
Right.
Because we all know that, like, we've charted this out before. Like, I've literally put this table up in a past show. The difference between a save on a 3+ and a save on a 2+ just is exponentially insane, right? So, like, it goes real dumb real fast. So, like, by making it so a natural 2 always fails, it keeps it reasonable. So,
and the other thing I would say is that anytime you get free full normal moves in the movement phase, you're in like cheater space, like you're breaking rules, right? And so I think that Scuttling Terrors may have some cheeky uses as well.
Yeah, I think Scuttling Terrors is awesome because it's just a Spider Fang unit as well, and there's that can mean your big boys.
I'm sad that we only have 3 spells for the Spider Fang.
Sure.
Because if you run a full Spider Fang and you've got 3 casters, okay. And we lost Gift as a Spider God, which allowed you to heal your Arachnox, and I'll miss that.
It's funny. They just like ran out of space on the page. There's like a little gap in the page, but clearly Curse of the Spider God took up so much text space that they were just like, I guess it's a 3-spell lore. Okay. Sub-factions. That's right, folks. We have formal, actual, printed in the book, not stapled on weirdly through nonsense White Dwarf updates and other backdoor Broken Realms things. Like, here we are. Real sub-factions. Okay. Paul, I want you to like, there's a generic one, a wizard one, a Maws of Jork one for squigs, a Glog one for trolls, and a Grimscuttle one for spiders. Look, they do what you think they do. But I want you to tell me what you like where you live in here. What do you like?
I mean, the Grimscuttle one is so fun. Like, it's not necessarily good, but I don't care about that. Like, so the Grimscuttle one allows you, if you're taking a Skitterstrand or Ragnarok, you can place 2 other Grimscuttle Spider Fang units in ambush with that one. And then if you take another one, then you can place another 2. And then if you take another one, then you can place another 2. So you can just ambush in everything. And because you can take war parties as battle line now, you can just have all the Arachnox. Right? Like, you can just do some fun stuff. And yes, you can get zoned out, and yes, you can, and they all have to come in together. So if you put one of the Skitterstrand Arachnox and you put 2 units, and they have to come in together, they all have to be within 12 inches, and they have to be more than 9 inches away from the enemy. So it's not broken. It's not something that's gonna like ruin games. It's just fun, and I love that.
Yeah, I love null deploys. Like I really do. That's
Yeah.
not me being facetious at all. And this does open up the door to actually null deploying your army. Like I have a null deploy list with my Skaven, and I love it. And yeah, the fact that you can just like it's that they're basically Silver Towering or Lord of Afflictionsing, that kind of thing, right? They're other Spider Fang units. So, yep,
It's just super fun and cool. So,
absolutely. Tom, what do you like?
I mean, honestly, so from a pure power standpoint, Bad Snatcher, just the hotness. Like, it's just so good. Like, it's grossly good.
it's really good.
Just the math on that's insane. But what I will say is, like, my pet go-to is either Maws of Jork or Glogs. I think that, like, I love the ability of triggering regen every time the units fight.
Yeah,
Because Trogs want to be in, right? And like it creates this really interesting incentive structure. Like if you're at full strength, if you're super defensive, like you can actually potentially fight second with somebody like your kind of your meatier trolls if they're not going to take a heavy hit and not have to really worry about them. Because you're going to be able to put wounds back on them. Obviously, all that's like that's not the primary use of it, but they are already hard units, and I like making them harder. Is what I would say. That said, just the Maws of Jork, like I hate that you do that every time. That
got him.
The Jaws of Mork. Thanks, Vince.
Maws of Jork.
Like it's an army-wide +1 to attacks.
With your gobs when you charge, yeah.
With your gobs when you charge if you're doing heavy squigs, and that's hard to say no to, right? And so I think like just the weight of dice that brings is really interesting to me.
Yeah, sure. So here's my only take on it.
Yep.
I get why we kept Maws, Glogs, and Grimscuttle, but this army actually works really well in, as I said, like a sort of mixed arms, kind of mixed units, running lots of different types of the things all mixed together now. I think they open the door to a lot of that, but 3 of these sub-factions feel like you want to, like, to get your most out of it, you should just be running heavy into one thing. And so I'm not sure I love that tension there. I'm not sure we needed the Bad Snatchers one for the Magic. The King's Gitz is fine. I would have almost liked it if the Bad Snatchers was more of a tactics one, like a fighty thing. Like, hey, you want to get and go fight with your army, like whatever it is. Like they do something special when they fight or when they're charged or something, whatever, right? But you know, my main issue that I have is that I would see myself in a lot of the mixed builds just taking King's Gitz, because otherwise I'm not getting maximal value out of it. And there's a lot of units of different sort of a lot of the factions, not sub-factions, but you know what I mean, like the 4 forces that I want to be including together. And it's like, well, I don't have enough trolls to like, is that worth a choice? Whereas like re-rolling the dice with the Loon Shrine is really good, right? As long as I can keep my Loon Shrine around and not get it smashed, it's really good. And so, which by the way, enemy monsters are going to be trying to smash the crap out of this thing, like instantly. Yeah. But you know, it's like I worry about the mix of such a strong linear incentive with an army that feels much more modular now.
Well, I mean, what I would say is the only 2 that are hyper linear are Jaws and Glogs.
Yes, they are. Well, yeah, sure.
Because even Bad Snatchers isn't hyperlinear. It just means that you're going to have you have support wizards, right?
Agreed.
Like that you're going to be running support wizards.
I agree.
And
Bad
even
Snatchers and King's Gitz are both open.
And Bad Snatchers, it doesn't even work with your king, your Loon King, because he already has the King's Gitz keyword, so he can't. Yes, he does. It's like so he doesn't get the Bad Snatchers benefit. as per the way that subfaction keywords work. And so, and then Grim Scuttle isn't linear because like you're almost never going to null deploy. Most of what that is you're going to get like one deep striker and you're going to put some stuff in there with it, right? To have a hunting party on the deep strike. And so the only two really skew are the squigs and glogs. And I could even see taking glogs if I have like a troll general, a 6 Man of Stone trolls, and even 2 3s of river trolls, like half my army or so. Like I could see doing that and then still having another half of my, army as other stuff.
Yeah.
So the only one that skews hard is Jaws.
And like, man, I got to go all in on this. Sure.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, why not? Like when you're talking about like bodies to take hits, like I was like, well, maybe I could do just like double reinforced squig herds. Right? Because like at that point, like if they get the charge in, it's insane. And if they don't and they get routed off the table, they're going to do a bunch of mortal wounds.
Yeah. Oh, I agree, Ramian. I think Grim Scuttle. I just think nobody takes Grim Scuttle because nobody takes Grim Scuttle. It's not actually doing anything that people really love, but it's cute. I love it. Like conceptually, thematically, it's my favorite one. Like I would take it, but I think it's like straight up not good. But I love it.
I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm in for that one. All right, cool. Let's talk a little grand strategies and battle tactics and battalions because I have to. I've been contractually obligated for some reason to talk about these dumb things. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and do my best to not talk about these because I hate them. So here we go. Grand strategies. My vote is Chasing the Moon is the likely one to pick. If you're going to pick any of these, it's your general has not been slain and has been affected by the light of the bad moon for at least 3 rounds. In the current season, that is actually quite a controllable grand strategy. Right.
Do you have the king? Cool. Is your general next to him? Cool. You succeed.
Right. Yeah. Well, just if it's it's going to be there in 1.
Sure.
Right. And the most it could move in 2 is to the center, so you're still there.
Right.
Right. And so like you get 2 out of the 3 rounds basically automatically. And as long as that general is like near some unit where he can't be picked out, he's pretty safe. Unless somebody's running a bunch of splash mortals or magic power stuff, etc. Battle tactics, my vote is there's 1 easy-ish, 4 medium, 1 hard. That's my vote. I'll let you decide what those are. And then battalions, there's only 1. It's for a Dankhold Trog boss and 1 Dankhold Troggoth unit. It gives them magnificent. It's cute. I'd probably still take Battle Reg. But sure.
Would you though?
Yeah.
Only 3 heroes. Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I could see going like all the drops, and this is just
if you need to sneak an extra magic item in, this is a relatively reasonable way to do it. It's mostly because I think the Trog boss is fire, and I think the regular Troggoth is not. That's it. Like I would never take the normal Troggoth, the normal Dankhold Troggoth versus
even though he has better average. Even though he has better average damage than the Trog boss.
I think that the Trog boss is
instead of the D6, he's a D6.
Is utility in 10 cities. Like that dude just does work.
Sure.
Right. I for damage I've got River and Stone Trolls to go out there and do work.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So yeah. Cool. Anything else we want to say on this? I don't really care about these things, and as we talked about last week, I wish they would be thrown into the sea and yeeted into the sun. So there we go. The battalions can stay; those are fun.
I got one quick thing that has nothing to do with battalions and all that kind of stuff. So
I'm ready.
The Path to Glory section that we just skipped over, super fun, and I really enjoy it. You get to pick mushrooms and brew potions. And
exactly. Look, I don't normally talk about the Path to Glory section. But I want to give a shout out. I got to find the exact page. I'm like looking at the book over here on the other side. But okay, yeah, there we go. Page 77. Okay, is a page that you actually are like permission granted to photocopy for personal use by Games Workshop, and it is a shroom collection roster with all of the common shrooms and rare shrooms of the Mortal Realms. So like these really beautiful art pictures Like somebody did a really cool job like drawing all these beautiful mushrooms of the mortal realms. And you get to brew your little potions and how many successful fungus brews and failed fungus brews. It's just like, it's a really beautiful little page of the little mini game you get to play. So I love when art and design and stuff like that feels really in line, and that one did. It was a page that jumped out at me. So agreed.
Yeah, super pretty. That is awesome. So anyway, moving on.
No, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned it because I forgot. All right. Kragnos is in the book, but we're not going to talk about him. We're going to talk about the Warscrolls now.
Hey, he's good with destruction armies. Continue.
Sure, yeah. He is still, in fact, Kragnos, and he still, in fact, has the same scroll. So let's talk about Warscrolls. Okay. Good old Champions of Destruction. Obviously the best soulbound book. I love all the art out of it. Okay. I wanted to start with the Loon Shrine. So, here we go. Because this is important. This is going to flavor a lot of what we talk about after this. Mm-hmm. It's your faction terrain. It doesn't cost points. Hopefully we all know that and how this works. You set it up. It sets up like faction terrain. Okay? It's stuff. It's impassable. Okay? It has the effigy of the Bad Moon. Gloomspite Gitz units are affected by the light of the Bad Moon while they are wholly within 12 inches of this terrain feature, which is very nice because at the beginning of the game, on like a normal flat deployment, it lets you extend out that Bad Moon radius beyond the table quarter into everywhere else in your deployment zone too, and also pushes it forward into certain areas and things like that, just because of how it extends around it. Now, you do need to be careful, as I said, because people will want to blow this thing up pretty bad for what I'm about to read. At the end of each of your turns, you can pick one friendly Gloomspite Gitz unit that has been destroyed. The unit picked cannot be a hero, cannot be unique, and must have a wounds characteristic of 5 or less. All right, so that's our limitations. No unique, no hero, 5 or less wounds characteristic. After you pick a unit that has been destroyed, roll a die. On a 4+, a replacement unit with half of the models from that unit that was destroyed, rounding up, is added to your army. Set up that unit wholly within 12 of a Bad Moon Loon Shrine in your army, and more than 3 inches from enemy units. Each destroyed unit can only be replaced once, and replacement units cannot themselves be replaced. Replacement Moon Clan Stabbas and Moon Clan Shootas can include up to half as many netters as destroyed. As were in the original unit, basically. Rounding up. Okay. What's not here? Paul?
Garrison.
Yeah, that's one. No, that's fine. Tom, you're right. Garrisoning. Yes, that is correct. That's right. Yeah.
That it used to be only Moon Clan, and only Moon Clan spears, and only Moon Clan arrows.
Right. And Battle Shock immunity.
Oh yeah.
Also gone. Two of the most significant ability that were on this terrain.
No garrison. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No garrison. No Battle Shock immunity, which is a big deal. But this thing is versatile as. You're exactly right, Paul, with what it can bring back now. Because it used to be like, it could only bring back squigs if you were in Jaws, and you could only bring back trolls if you were in Glogs, and yada yada, right? Now it's just nah. You mixed up a bunch of units, you can bring everybody back. At the moment, you can bring back half of your unit of Gobapalooza, which is dumb, because they're not unique. We're going to talk about why that's problematically stupid in a little while. And they need to be made unique. But there's like, this thing's super versatile and with what it can bring back. And remember, there's an ability to use this twice. There's an ability to reroll this dice. So, pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong. But yes, the lack of Battle Shock immunity. Like, how many trolls did when we played that game during Holy Havoc, how many trolls were garrisoning this silly thing?
It was a double reinforced, so it was 9.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever it was. There's like a bunch of rock trolls in this thing. So if you go up and attack it, you get just instantly slammed by like 30 trolls. And I'm like, something about this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like the base of this thing doesn't even seem like it fits 3 trolls. I don't know where you're getting all these trolls. But I mean, they're underground, so I get it. But yes, losing garrisoning is big, and losing Battleshock community is really, really, really big. Yeah. Okay. Which is the Achilles heel of this army now.
Yes, like as much as like as we've been talking about them being like a strong force in the meta, or that kind of being implied in some of the conversation. The reality is like Nighthaunt's like, go on.
Oh sure.
When they look at this army, because I mean they like this army will pop if Nighthaunt touches it.
Yeah, there's a lot of armies now that shut off Inspiring Presence. Right, there's a lot of abilities scattered around to shut off Inspiring Presence.
There's units in this army that can't receive Inspiring Presence.
There is a unit, but yes.
Yes. Correct.
Right. So, okay, cool. I just thought that one was important to cover first because it's going to be relevant to everything else we talk about.
Yep.
When we're weighing up everything, we have to remember like the Battleshock community, but also that it could come back at half strength. All right, okay. Alrighty, Scragrot, Daloon King. Scragrot no longer has a shooting attack. He's 6 wounds, by the way. That got kind of cut off there. But he's 6 wounds. No longer has a shooting attack, but he's got some good stuff going on. He's a War Master. Boom. Bonus Jenny. Awesome. He's a wizard, but he's a good wizard. He's a double wizard. He's a double rainbow of a wizard. And he knows all the spells from the lore of the Moon Clans in addition to the other spells he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Once per turn, so 10 times a game, theoretically, he can issue a command without a command point being spent. If he's in a Gloomspite Gitz army, friendly Gloomspite Gitz units are affected by the light of the Bad Moon while they're wholly within 12 of him. He has a ward of 4 up, and he adds 1 to casting and unbinding rolls. Thumbs up. Very good. Previous mention of lack of casting bonuses. Very nice here. So he's a mega good caster. And then once per battle, he can make the moon do what he wants. All right. So you don't roll a dice. You just choose, does it move or does it stay? Should I stay or should I go now? That's what the moon asks Scragrot, and he answers. And then he has a spell, and it's fine. It's a fine spell. It's not bad. It's long range, low cast value, and it does some mortal wounds. It's pretty cool. So, like, it's a perfectly good spell. This dude is value at 160 points, baby. 160 points.
Whew. Yeah, like, I don't disagree with that because he's a walking buff piece. And he's a +1 caster. He's a double caster, right?
He's a double caster, yep.
He's a +1 double caster with the entire lore. So, like, those sell.
He's also counting as a general for anytime he's trying to issue a command and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And, like, he could heroic action to double issue or to triple to share it with 3 units. Like, he could be your 3-unit, chooser.
He can. He is
rally.
Moon Clan. That is correct. He can triple rally.
Yeah, but him losing his shooting attack was like a really big hit for me.
Wow, I couldn't have cared less. That never did anything.
Like, no, because it kept wounding. Like it had a real effect.
It never mattered. I played against this guy so many times. Like, my buddy used that every time, and he would sit there and be like, "I'm gonna get you with this slow tick effect," and I'm like, "Okay, go nuts. You'll be dead by then." Like, it doesn't matter. I'll die slowly doesn't matter if you'll die quickly.
Sure. No, I mean, and again, like, at his points, I think that he has such a low downside, because what this does is this gives you a second permanent bubble of moon somewhere on the battlefield.
Yep.
And more importantly, a teleporting bubble of moon. Because he could teleport himself with a lore spell. And so, like, let's say that you pop up with a Ragnaroks or whatever in the backfield, he could teleport himself into the midst of them for the moon effect on their venom. He could. He's going to give a bubble of +1 save to all trolls nearby. So there's like, I think he's going to be a go-to piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think in most art, like this guy will show up a lot. Now remember, this dude will still be able to be targeted.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. He's not a champion because he's unique.
And
he only has 5+.
Yeah.
If you don't have a certain unit, like there are ways to make him untargetable.
Sure, there are other things we can do to mitigate that in the army. Yes, but like this dude is awesome, and I fear him at 160 points. Like what I fear is, I'm afraid he's just going to be in every single army list ever.
Sure, but here's the deal: if he goes over 200, I don't know that I would take him.
I'm not sure I disagree with that point, and that's the problem with somebody that's this pack and this much utility. Paul, where are you landing on this guy? I mean, obviously he's awesome, right? Like rules wise, he's great.
Yeah,
I think we're just got to figure out what points would make the most sense for him. But what do you think of Scraggy?
I mean, he's cool. He's the moon thing is the big thing. Like, why would you not want to have 3 moons on the table between your Loon Shrine and Skagrot and the moon? But at the same time, you've got to devote a lot of points, and like, if you're moving him and defending him, then you're not defending the Loon Shrine. Like, where are you doing? Like, and throwing him into something that's away from everything else so that things can go kill things, but then he has to stay close to them is also a liability. So he's cool. I like him. But I don't know if I'm going to be running him in my lists.
Sure.
Because it's a lot. You have to think about a lot. Like, I mean, thinking about the 3 bubbles of the moon
yeah, sure,
is going to be a lot, right? And one of them is probably going to be half already in, doubled by the moon anyway. So it's yeah.
It gives you a lot of moon power.
It does get you a lot of moon power, and maybe I'm just scared because you tried to do that in the last edition, like the last army book, and you're like, I'm going to rely on the moon, and then it never happened, right?
Sure.
And there's so many things to make it happen now, but yeah.
Cody, there is a more undercosted war scroll in this book. Forget the game. We don't even need to worry about that. There's a more undercosted war scroll we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. This guy ain't even the most undercosted thing. I think he is undercosted, but I don't think it's hugely. But I would predict this guy's got like a 70-80% inclusion rate in lists at tournaments. That seems high for a special character. So,
Michael had asked, do you take him with a Jaws of Mork list? I think so. Because he can teleport himself to be wherever he needs to be so that they can run and charge.
Right.
Yeah. So he becomes that anchor. Like he can just jump to wherever they finish, wherever they're going to finish their movement around that area, for the run and charge effect. Yeah. So I think that you still do. So.
All right, let's keep going. There's Scraggy. Gabapalooza. All right. Look. These guys have too many rules. I'm just going to be straight with you here, folks. There's a lot of rules, okay? What this is now is 1 unit. It's not 5 individual drops. It's 145 points for these 5 little dorks, right? They all have 3 wounds. They all have a 4-up ward in the first battle round, then a 5-up ward, and then a 6-up ward from then on. Okay, cool. 2 of them just don't matter. You get to use 1 of the 5 abilities every round. That's how it works now. Once per turn in your hero phase, this unit can use its Gabapalooza No What's. If it does so, pick 1 of the following effects to apply. Now, this has already been memed because these guys at 145 points for effectively just 15 wounds of little dorks that are kind of hard to remove early because they're 15 wounds on a 4-up save, 4-up ward in the first battle round. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, if you stack these guys, they can all pick which one is it? There you go. Sorry, Nasty Poisons. You can only pick this effect while this unit has a spiker, so you got to keep your spiker alive. Pick 1 friendly Gloomspite Gitz unit wholly within 12 of this unit. Improve the Ren characteristic of that unit's weapons by 1 until the start of your next hero phase. So, theoretically right now, since I can take multiple Gabapaloozas, I could have like 3 Gabapaloozas. I could have them all pile onto a unit of, 30 Squig Hoppers or something completely stupid. that is easily going to cross the whole board and be wherever the heck I want it to be, and then shoot those lunatics across the board, and then have them bounce into the enemy, now being at rend like neg 3 and neg 4 instead of that, or whatever. You can pick.
Why do you hate fun? Why do you hate fun? That sounds great.
Now, to be fair, that is a 435 point investment in little Gobapalooza dudes.
Right.
Plus a 480 point, or 520 point investment in the 30-man squig hoppers.
Absolutely. You can pick your poison as far as the unit goes. I don't know if it's actually a good thing. Yes, you can also do it on shooters. Thank you, James. It does work on ranged attacks as well. So you can just put it on a bunch of shooters who are going to make 120 shots at rend 3, you know.
It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine.
I'm pretty sure that's not how this is supposed to work. If I was a betting man, I would bet that this gets FAQ'd. Either to be so their buffs don't stack, or that they become unique. That's what I would say. So if you're gonna try to run the meme list of running a bunch of Gobapaloozas to stack the dumb rend, my guess
wait
is
on the FAQ.
You should wait on the FAQ. Otherwise, you have you cannot complain when in fact your toy gets broken. So yeah, I mean a bunch of neg 3 rend is like pretty good. So it's not bad.
Sure.
It's not bad.
Sure.
I mean, realistically, even just stacking a couple of these, if you don't like that, just taking 2 for 290, it turns out increasing rend by 2 is actually like a massive, massive buff. Like,
it's meaningful.
Beyond massive. So that's what this unit does. Like, the rest of the stuff is all fine. It's +1 to run and charge, and +1 to hit and wound in melee. Like, there's good bonuses here. Okay. It's just everything gets shattered by the rend stacking.
Some spell casting.
Yeah, there's some spell casting. Yep. But I would imagine this gets fixed toot sweet in the FAQ, because otherwise it will lead to silliness and just be, like bad, like out of flavor, weird and bad.
Yep.
Right. So, okay. Anything else on Gobapalooza?
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. If they're somehow limited to 1, I have no problem with this. It's a set of very powerful buffs you can choose 1 from, and that's cool. That's very reasonable for 145 points. Okay. All right. Loon Boss. He's a Loon Boss. He's got a little 6-up ward save. He's 85 points. And now we come to the first instance of a thing that I really hate. Here we go. I'm the boss, now stab him good. When this unit issues the all-out attack command to a friendly Moon Clan unit in the combat phase, until the end of that phase, if the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by the Moon Clan unit is 6, the attack causes 1 mortal wound to the target in addition to any damage it inflicts. Designers note this effect is in addition to the normal effect of all-out attack. I hate this. I really, really hate this. This sends every klaxon of alarm on design paradigms that I can possibly think of off in my head.
Seems fine.
Because
why do you hate fun?
Indeed, I'm such a parade rainer. Let me explain why I hate this, because it's so many layered. One of the interesting things that's come about in this edition with the way we've chosen to execute on command points is the natural, opportunity cost within a phase that everyone gets. How many books have gotten new command abilities that happen in the combat phase, and we go, well, it's good, it's cool, it could be useful, but of course then you're choosing not to all-out attack or all-out defense, right? And so that's a real cost to doing the thing, right? You have to make a choice, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whereas instead, this guy goes, well, that was going to be the attack unit I was going to put all out defense on, right? Because it has an offensive kick to it.
Yep.
So now I can like super duper stack and I just get to ignore all the opportunity cost. That's number one reason why I hate it. Here's number two reason why I hate it. Why are goblins this good at this? This makes the opposite of sense.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
That's literally the entire lore.
When he started on this rant the first time, we were talking through this, and I was like, "They're sneaky," and he's like, "No."
Okay. The second you open that door, you like, there's no army. Cool. Everybody can do this then. Everybody should just get commands that look like this.
Well,
in
not
every single
everybody's
book.
sneaky.
Everybody has something. Why can Ironjaws do it? Because they're the strongest. Why can Soulblight do it? Because they drink blood. And they have the coolest abilities that they've siphoned off of thousands of years of immortal experience from the ancient realms of the old world with knowledge exceeding all power and blah, 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 the will of Nagash. Like, shut up. Shut up. This speaks to one thing. Pissant skill at arms. That's what this speaks to. Because not only do you all out attack, but you're also more deadly in how you attack. That's what this speaks to. Okay? Like, you executing multiple maneuvers at once. There is one army that should have this. And that should have been... This little trick should have been introduced in OBR. This is an OBR command.
Well, they don't use command points and command abilities,
that.
So of course they could.
I just got loud and hurt my throat because I'm so angry about this.
I was going to say, I thought Tom and I were supposed to be the loud ones.
Yeah, exactly.
This makes me so mad. Because obviously this is an OBR ability. Like, obviously. They're the superior, drilled military force under the greatest military mastermind in the mortal realms. Every move they have is synchronized. Every strike perfected. Right? Because they are built of souls of like all these different great warriors shoved together into one and then drilled and drilled and drilled. And when they move as one. When they strike as one. Like, this is how that should have worked and where it should have been introduced.
Well, don't worry, Vince. When that book gets updated, maybe it'll be in there too.
Which is fine. Like, this is not the third rail touch, by the way. Like, this is bad in what it's breaking. But I could see it in a very limited case where it's very on theme and fits. In the same way that, like, Marathi's ability is game-breaking, but it's okay because it's just on Marathi. If they started throwing around Marathi's ability on, like, a bunch of different units, I would have a problem with that ability real fast. The Iron Heart of Cain is what I'm referencing, right?
Yeah, if there's a command ability that did that.
Right, but when used in, like, the right place...
Sure.
Right? I'm okay with it. And Freddy, I hated that, too. He said this is the same game that made Doc the only army that can bypass reinforcement points. And that was incorrect as well, and I railed against that also. So, at any rate, I don't like this. I think it shouldn't be here. Just give me either a command ability or just make it an ability, and I'd be fine with it. Like, material. But the funny part is, if you just literally made it an ability that he could put on someone, it would materially be the same thing. You could still combine it with all-out attack, but I would hate it a lot less because it would be like, it wouldn't bother me as much, right? In what it's saying about the design of the thing.
Sure.
So, okay. Rant over. Right.
But he is the boss, and that's what matters. As Michael Coase said. Have you considered he's the boss?
Mona, Angela, Samantha. Okay, look. What anything about Loon Boss? He's fine. He's 85 points. He's a little doober.
Yeah. Like, let me just say, I love the points on the foot heroes in this book. I just love it.
Oh, yeah. They cheap. Okay, cool. Madcap Shaman. He's 4 wounds on a 6-up save, and he's a wizard. And he can eat his little madcap mushrooms, and if he does, he can attempt to cast an additional spell. But if it's a double, he suffers D3 mortal wounds after the effect of the spell has been resolved. Okay. And, you know, he has
He's one of your 2 primary casters for that subfaction.
And he has like a little okay spell that can kind of protect a unit from shooting, like that's necessary. Ridiculous. Completely unnecessary. Your spell is duplicative. We fear not those things. Get this weak sauce out of here. Trip rally or nothing. Okay? I don't need your -1 to hit against shooting. Get this peasant defense out of here. All right? Irrelevant. All right. So, yeah, he's whatever. Like, okay, cool. These guys are both kind of whatever. Anything else here? All right, we'll keep going.
I like the Loon boss. You didn't mention that he also has a 5-up ward, so he's a 5 Loon,
6-up ward.
4-up save, or 6-up ward.
6-up
sorry,
ward, yeah.
But he has a ward. I'll take it.
I mentioned it was just very quickly at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, Ramium. The Madcap used to be the Mommet artifact carrier, but now that the Fungoid can take it, so why take the Madcap? I think that's actually a really correct summary of that. Yeah, I mean, Madcap's just like, okay, cool. Squig boss with National Squig. Oh, okay. Here we are now. All right. He's a little 4-wound dude with a 6-up save. He is the new model. He's the guy you held up earlier. Super cool little model. Yeah. He has some attacks. They're nothing really to write home about. I mean, they're fine. It's just, it is what it is. But that's not why you take this dude. You take this dude because of his Mycophiles pouch. Fun name. In your hero phase, you get to pick one friendly squig unit within 3 inches of this unit to be fed a batch of shrooms. If you do so, apply one of the following effects to that unit. Each effect lasts until the start of your next hero phase. The same unit cannot be fed a batch of shrooms more than once in the same phase. Okay, so this guy's a little buff hero. 3 choices. 3 choices. +3 move. Good. Then we've got Yellow Lurka. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by that unit with a fang-filled gob, massive blah blah blah, all the gob attacks, not reading them all, is 6. That attack causes 1 mortal wound to the target in addition to any damage it inflicts. Quite strong. Quite strong. Especially in Maws of Jork with +1 gob attack on the charge. That's suddenly a lot of gob attacks. And then the Sprout and Moon add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that unit's gobs. So good choices all around there. +1 attack, mortal wound on a 6, or +2 move. Love it. And then release to squigs. Once per battle, the start of your hero phase, you can say this unit will release to squigs. If you do so, each friendly squig herd unit wholly within 12 of this unit can make a normal move. So they all get to move. Which is
but
fun.
let me point out that like if you do that, you push them out of range of like feeding them the gob. Like if you release them, because that's happening at the start of the movement, you might push your squigs out of your bubble.
Well, he doesn't have a bubble. It's just within 3 inches is how you feed him. He doesn't have a holy with him. So as long as you got a little tail on the back of your squig unit of like a little dude touching.
Sure.
But you're right.
Sure.
You're right. You could walk him away from you. Don't walk him away from you. Yes, release to squigs technically does stack right now, Ramium. That's another thing I'm not sure would work, or that you'd have to like stack up your guys in a really interesting way to make that happen, because that is a wholly within 12 bubble. So
no, what you would do is you would release the squigs, move them forward, because it's not start of the hero phase, right? It's just in the hero phase.
It's the start of your hero phase.
And once per battle.
Yeah, that won't work. I was gonna say, because you could like release them and then teleport the dude.
Yeah, you can't. No, it's all at the start. So you'd have to have them like pre-stacked or something, right? Like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly don't know if this will get changed, just because it's actually that's a pretty hard maneuver to carry off.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So, but it is stackable right now. This dude is 80 points. Boy, is that a lot of value. He delivers.
He's 4 wounds. He's 4 wounds
with a 6-up save.
With a 6-up and no ward. You look at this dude and he melts.
In the current season, he will be quite strong. Post this current season, 80 points might be right. But those are good buffs for 80 points.
He's fine. He's fine, guys.
He's slow.
He is slow.
Yeah.
He's just a little foot 5-inch mover guy.
Like I was playing him with the the squig hoppers and the bounders, and like you got one shot, and then they're gone.
Right. You're not catching back up with them unless Scragrot teleports him back into where the squig hoppers are going to be. Mm-hmm. Right. Like what you would have to do.
Teleport one.
Right.
Instead of two. Right.
Yeah. Right.
I think he's great. I think in the current season he is undercosted, is what I'll say. Like he's doing a lot. But I agree with you. At the same time, like all of these heroes, it means you gotta, like everything like this.
Mm-hmm.
This was an old Doc problem, right? If you buff and shoot them off, right? And that's always the challenge. But it's 3 very good effects.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I like him, and I think he's fine, and I would certainly include one in my army if I had squigs.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you're taking squigs, like if squigs are a part of your battle plan, I mean, so is this guy. Right?
Yeah, like I would do 1, maybe 2.
Sure.
Depending on like what the army, like what the deployment looks
like. James Struthers, the Hag Queen used to be 80 points. Let's return her back to there too. Yeah, good point. That's a good point. Let's get the Hag Queen. Let's get the new Whippy insta-kill girl. Let's get all these people down in like this kind of very low point range. Absolutely. Let's get all the utility heroes that are immune to shooting just as cheap as chips in this current season. I agree.
I mean, maybe they'll show up again, and you know what? We won't be seeing if that happens. 1-drop armies. Sure. Like, if everybody's trying to run a bunch of foot heroes, 1-drop armies go away.
It's true. Always a silver lining. All right. So then the Loon Boss with Giant Cave Squig, he's got 7 wounds on a 5-up save, so he is a veritable tank compared to the other guy.
Right.
At 110 points. He does also have a ward of 6-up. And he's got his ability going somewhere. At the start of the Battle Shock phase, he can... This is a lot of text, but I'll explain it like this. He can cause D3 mortal wounds to a Gloomspite Gitz Grot unit. Okay? Mm-hmm. For each mortal wound that unit suffers, they add 3 to their bravery characteristic until the end of the phase. So effectively what he's doing is potentially increasing the...
Battle Shock immunity.
Well, the Battle Shock resistance. Yes.
Resistance, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trading 3 wounds for 9 goblins.
Yeah, somewhere between 1 and 3 wounds for 3 to 9 bravery. That's what this guy does.
Which is not actually a terrible solution. Like I think about using this guy with like a squig herd. So you're going to lose like 1 base, maybe 2 if there's a wound on him, and save 9 squigs. Like that's not, out of like a 36 squig pack. That's not bad. It's not bad.
Oh, Marcus. Oh no, Marcus. I disagree. I was all over that Skink Priest at 80 points. We hated that guy. I've talked about that guy going up like 40 points. I'm consistent on my what cheap utility heroes should cost stance. Absolutely. At any rate. And then he can, by the way, this little dude also has Gobbled Up where he can just like outright kill a model, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong actually, because it's just equal to or greater than the wounds characteristic.
Yeah, I'm like, come here, Blight King. Let me feed you to my squig.
Yeah, that squig can eat a whole Blight King on 50% of the time. It's a lot of room inside that squig. It's cool. It's cool that some of my giants have to roll double the wounds characteristic to get the same effect, and this guy's rolling equal to or greater than. I see no issues.
Well, he has a big mouth.
Yeah.
No,
and he used to be Scar
I agree.
Stick.
I just said it's cool.
Come on.
I see no mechanical issues whatsoever here. Complete consistency. That's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yes, he did used to be Skarsnik. Absolutely. 110 points. Perfectly reasonable for what he does. So. Yeah, cool stuff. What's your evaluation of the bravery buff? Like, my answer is I don't think it's going to make the difference a lot of the time, but I think it's nice that it's there.
No, I mean when these guys pick up models, like let me say it this way: I think its only real use is if you want to protect or reinforce a squig herd. That's when it matters. Because if you have a 60 block of shootas or stabas, like if you've taken 30 wounds, adding 9 to the bravery isn't going to do too much. Like, it might keep the unit around, right? Maybe.
Yeah. No, I'm laughing at Jonah Baca, who said, "Slap Squig, you can pack so many Blight Kings in this bad boy." Yeah, I agree. I love it.
Indeed.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's talk about Sneaky Snufflers and the Fungoid Cave Shaman. Sneaky Snufflers, I predict, are, we're going to sell a lot of these guys. Okay? There's going to be a lot more sneaky snuffling going on tables, I predict. Sneaky Snufflers. 5-inch move, 2 wounds, 6 up save, 4 bravery. 110 points for 6 of these little duders. The unit has a ward of 5 up because they're off their eds. But that doesn't matter. You don't care. That's just neat. It's fine. You're taking them. They have attacks. Those attacks don't matter. That's right. Every day I'm snuffling. That's right. Let's get it. Looncat mushrooms at the start of your movement phase. You can say this unit is harvesting Looncat mushrooms. If you do, it cannot move in the movement phase, but you can make a harvesting roll by rolling a dice. Add 1 to the roll if this unit is affected by the light of the bad moon. On a 1 to 2, nothing happens. Okay. On a 3+, you can pick 1 friendly Gloomspite Gitz units wholly within 12 inch of this unit. That unit has a ward of 5 up until the start of your next hero phase. In addition, if the harvesting roll was 6+, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that unit's melee weapons until the start of your next hero phase. So under the light of the bad moon, you're doing this on a 2 up, effectively, and getting a 5 up ward, and then on a 5+, +1 attack to all the melee weapons. Yeah. That's a pretty good buff. That ain't bad. As pseudo prayers go, it's pretty strong. That's right. Hey, what's up, Adam? He said Adam is also every day he's sneakily snuffling. That's right. Look, that's a crazy strong roll. I mean, I have no problem with it.
Well,
it's fine.
They can't move.
But boy, oh boy, is it like crazy strong.
They can't move, which is meaningful.
Sure. That's why you need multiple units.
But giving a 5 up ward to 60 status,
sure,
pretty good.
It's pretty good. It ain't bad. Turning them into a Nurgle ain't bad.
On a 2+. So, and there's no restriction on like how many times you can attempt this if you have 2 of these, right?
No.
Like if you had 2 of these, you could try it twice if it failed on the 1.
Correct.
Yeah, and you don't take damage anymore, which is nice. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's real strong.
I'm glad I have a couple of these guys.
Again, could also go on a big unit of Hoppy Hops.
Yep.
Could go on a big unit of Bounders. Could go on a lot of things, obviously, but you know. Yes. So strong, super strong. Like it is a very good ability. I'm not saying it's broken. I'm not saying it's bent. I'm saying you're going to see a lot of these guys on the table because it is an extremely strong ability. It's like giving everything we've just described a ward of 5 up is real strong. Like real strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem you're going to run into is that you're going to have a lot of units in this book that are buff pieces. Yeah. And you're going to have to make some hard decisions on which buffs you want.
I do agree with that.
And the thing is, if you've got all these great buff pieces and they're doing all kinds of cool things, and they're almost, and you're choosing the defensive ones, then who cares if you have the triple rally?
Sure.
Right? Like, you're actually doubling up on your defense.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that do a lot of good things in this book, but to actually fit them in a list is gonna be really hard. Mm-hmm. And when you have things for free and you have things that cost points, it's going to be some real hard decisions to be like, but what is the actual list?
Sure. Now I will point out, as Ramyan has just said, because I thank you, Ramyan, you got to the point that I wanted to make first. But absolutely. Remember, they can also be Loon Shrine to back. They're not unique.
Sure.
They have a Loon's characteristic, and the buff works all the same.
Sure.
3 dudes buffs all the same as 6 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So, also, Adam just messaged me, Uncle Adam, to remind me, because I forgot this during the news, but hey, if you're a fan of Space Station Zero or Rain in Hell or everything we do with Snarling Badger Studios, don't forget, we just opened up a merch store. So all the cool designs that you wanted for stuff on shirts and hats and mugs and stuff like that is out there. So you can go check that out. I'll throw a link down in the description to the new merch store. It's super awesome. And we're working with a new vendor who's actually really cool and in the US and isn't like, yeah, it's all high quality stuff. So it's great. Check it out. Also, if you haven't hit like yet or subscribed, hey, do that too. Snuffle your way over them like buttons, snuffle around, and see if you can't find that like or subscribe button and help us get to 100K. Okay. So, Fungoid Cave Shaman. He's Moon Clan now. He's 90 points. He's a wizard. He still gives the extra command point on a 4-up, which is cool. He has a little Death Cap Mushroom, which lets him double cast in that round. And it lets him also cast from any spell of the lore of the Moon Clans, which is cool for his extra spell. So that's neat. And most importantly, he's got his little Spore Squig. This unit is not visible to enemy units more than 12 inches away. Now, maybe relevant, maybe not in the current season, as this dude will probably be hanging out near battle line units. But going forward, that's a pretty great thing. He traded his 4-up ward for just, not visible more than 12 inches away. Pretty nice. And his spell is still bad. So, there we go. But he's good. Good little dude. He's a great model. Good little caster. Like, I'm all over this guy. Guy's great if you're going to take your caster. Kuhal says, I think I now understand why I'm suddenly seeing every single Fungoid Cave Shaman within a 10,000 mile radius is sold out. Yeah. I agree also with Freddy, who said he seems like a fun guy. Hey, there's the puns. All right. Anything else you want to say about these two? We talked about Snuffling a lot. Cave Shaman. He's good. He's a good caster.
Yeah.
Again, no bonuses to cast. And, that continues to be again, another one of those heals in the army, right?
Yeah, but like I look at the Fungoid Cave Shaman, I don't know why I would take 2 of them over the Loon King.
Sure. I mean, look, Scraggy's great, as we all as we said. Like, again.
Yeah.
Okay. Loon Smasher Fanatics. Moving 2d6, which probably won't be relevant for much of ever. They still have their ball and chain, 3-inch range, d6 attacks, 4s and 3s, neg2 ren, d3 damage. Alright, there's a whole wall of text here for the most complicated ability in the world. That is actually just like the simplest thing to explain. You put these guys in a unit. Still. This is like that one of those ideas that came out of old Warhammer Fantasy that they just must be kicking themselves that they have to like retrofit this complexity into this lawyer rules text to make this all work, so that people don't try to put 5 fanatics in 5 fanatics in 5 fanatics and all the other dumb broken crap people have tried over the history of these guys. But what happens here is you hide them in a unit. Okay? At the start of the charge phase, you can say they come out. The charge phase. Not just yours, but at the start of the charge phase. They pop out. If you do so, you got to set them up wholly within 3 inches of the unit in which it's hidden, and more than 3 inches from all enemy units. Okay? If this unit was released in your charge phase, it can then attempt to charge. And if the unit it's hidden in was destroyed, they pop out. Basically 6 inches away from where you killed the last guy in that unit. Wherever the last model you pull in of that unit is. And they have strike first. They have always strikes first. Mm-hmm. Upsides, downsides, they got a lot better. Because like the Cursplat or whatever thing that was, whatever it used to be called. I don't remember what the old rule was called exactly. I think it was Cursplat. But it's gone now. But if somebody moves right up to 3 inches, it means that you have to set them up to the side and stuff like that, right? But that's fine. It's not a big deal, usually.
They also don't die if the whole unit gets killed out now, right?
Yeah, they just pop out. Yeah.
Right, which is a great change.
They also obviously have this big range, right?
Yeah.
So it's great. They're pretty good. 110 points for 5. They do what they do. I think they're strong. They're not actually hero wizards, by the way. I just forgot to delete those 2 words when I was retyping these Warscrolls. Sorry. That's the Fungoid Cave Shaman. They are Grotz and Moon Clan, though.
Sure.
Paul, you like some Loon Smashes?
They're pretty good. Fanatics are always great. So I'm not going to say no to them.
They're fun. I mean, pop them out. Swing big balls and chains.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that they don't die on doubles is great.
It is, yes. No more dying on doubles is nice.
Uh-huh.
It is very nice. Boy, we've had that rule for so long, the die on doubles.
It was back in the Warhammer Fantasy battles.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Like, that might be like a 5th edition rule. I mean, that goes way back. So I'm glad to see it gone. Rest in peace. Press F to pay respects. I don't have any other like special units in here except Zarbag. He and his Gitz are 180 points. He is also a wizard. He is interesting because he's like a 1.5 caster. Every hero phase on a 4-up, he gets to cast an additional spell. Which is kind of weird. His spell is like pretty hard to use. His Jealous Hex spell. Excuse me. But the Face of the Bad Moon is kind of an interesting spell as always because it can force a retreat. And if they can't retreat, they take D6 mortals. It's just kind of an interesting thing. He's still there. He's fun. He is automatically King's Gitz. Was the other reason I wanted to mention him. Like Scrigrot, they're both locked to King's Gitz. So
both of the Underworld's warbands are locked to King's Gitz.
Yep. Spore Splattas.
Which is unfortunate from a casting standpoint.
Sure. Spore Splattas. So this is the other Fanatics, right? This is the ones with the funny balls on the end.
They're gas squigs.
Yeah, they're gas squigs, exactly. They're funny little gas balls. D3 attacks 2s and 4s, neg 1 D3. They're having a little gas squig pillow fight. After deployment, but before the first battle round begins, this unit can make a normal move of 2d6 inches, which is super cool. Pre-game moves are always strong. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons used by other friendly Gloomspite Gitz units, so everybody. While they are wholly within 9 inches of any friendly units with this ability. So they got to be somewhat close. But it's pretty powerful. And they still have Spore Cloud where they block visibility. So these guys are doing a lot of work at 90 points. They're blocking line of sight. Which means they themselves are going to get shot, because obviously they can still be targeted.
Yep.
And they're given +1 attack. Not bad. I would point out that these guys can also come back out of the shrine. And also, with even half of them, you still happily get all of the bonuses to attacks. So it's cool.
Well, and the big thing is that range.
Yeah.
In the last book, the range was 1 for both Fanatics. In this book, the range is 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is super nice.
I mean, I think you'll see some people playing around with these guys to see if they can keep them around, because it's just a straight +1 attack bonus, right? Like the way it buffs everyone. The fact that it's just everybody wholly within 9 is getting +1 attack. It's a lot, potentially, depending on how carefully, how much you're able to bounce that bubble.
Sure. It's not a lot different than what was before. Yes, new units can get it. So trolls and to me, what they read as is they are Loon King protectors.
Maybe that's a potential option. I don't know, man. I see having them around some trolls and that being very, very scary.
No, you're not misunderstanding me.
Okay.
So you have your 6 stone trolls backed by the Loon King in a ring of these guys. So the trolls are at +1 to attack, +1 saves. The answer is yes, right?
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Is
Kind of a little stack T of like
yes,
trolls,
like,
these guys, Loon King.
That's your power
T-shaped
pair,
formation
right? Right. And if they come into the Loon King, they get all. Are these guys still first strike? I didn't see on the Warscrolls.
No, they're not all.
They are not.
They're not first strike anymore. They lost that.
The Gloomspite fanatics are, but these guys are not.
Right.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I mean, they are great bodyguards for him. Absolutely.
Right. Exactly. So that if people try to come into them, they have to deal with them, and then the trolls are getting just the best buffs.
By the way, I'm all river trolls now. I'm not stone trolls anymore. I'm all river troll now. So there we go.
Well, it depends on what you want. You want an anvil or a hammer?
Oh, I want to kill, and that's what river trolls are gonna do. Okay. Let's keep going. Shooters and stabbers, they're 125 for 20. I expect that'll change. What I mean by that is like it'll either go to 120 or 130 because we're eliminating all the 5 points, but this clearly got printed before that. So at some point it's going to go either down 5 points or up 5 points. Place your bets now, folks. Which way does it go? Really important things about both of these guys. So, the shooters, 20-inch range. Heck of a range on a goblin short bow. Way to go. Way to go, guys. You're outranging handguns.
They're just sneaky, Vince. It's just because they're sneaky.
Iron Drakes. Outranging Iron Drakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fine crafted, master crafted dwarven weaponry. The best that the Greywater fastest can produce.
Thunderers. Outranging Thunderers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yep.
They've also been training since the last book.
Giving them strong strings.
Yeah.
A number of the long cannons in the KO ships are 18 inches.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Great range on these bows. 1 attack, 4s and 5s, no rend, 1 damage. But that goes to 2 attacks with their little bows if they have 10 or more models. And obviously they come in 20, so by default, 20 of these guys put out 40 shots. So it's certainly not the best numbers, but it's quite a lot of shots. As mentioned earlier, if they don't fix the Gobapalooza, this will become an utter nightmare, as units of 60 of these little dorks launch 120 shots into the air at -3 rend. Even though it's on 4s and 5s, it still does a decent amount of work. So there you go.
I don't know. 4s and 5s, you're only going to hit with what? 40?
You hit with 60, you wound with 20. But at -3 rend, they kind of all go through.
And then half, so 10, yeah.
Like, at -3 rend, they would all go through against a 4-up save, obviously. So,
yeah.
Like, you're getting, like, at that point, you're getting a good amount of, like, ranged wounds. Like, most ranged units would kill to be able to bank on their average being 20 damage at range. Mm-hmm. So, but, you know, yeah, it's not cheap. It's fair. Like, it's not. It's almost 1,000 points to pull that trick off, so let's not be too silly here.
But I mean, if you put a Moonboss on them, then you could, like, you know, add 10 more mortal wounds to them. So that'd be great.
Why not? Let's talk about netters. Because netters work differently now. Finally, the age of annoying 2-inch measurement from where the netters are positioned and the argument over where the netters are in the unit ends. And instead, we get an incredibly more powerful ability that's going to drive everybody insane. Because it subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units while they're within 1 inch of any friendly units that include any model armed with these nets.
But
doesn't matter who you're attacking.
Attacks from the nets. You still have to calculate attacks from the nets. That's the best part.
No, you don't. It's not. Like,
no.
Any
they have the same
models
attack
armed
profile?
with the net. Oh, calculating attacks from the net.
The offensive attack.
Yes, we got rid of half of the problem. The other half.
Oh, yeah. You still got to pick out your 3 dudes and make their 3 special attacks. Yeah, that's fine. But, like, the point is now these dudes are a little tiny bubble of -1.
Sure.
All right, so if you're in combat with them within an inch, it is not 3 inches, it is an inch. So it is a shorter range.
Yep.
But they just give you -1, whether you're attacking them or not. Right. So it's just a little blanket -1, and that's on both the stabbers and the shooters. That's how they all work now. So,
yeah,
cool. You know, people love that, so glad to see that. Now let's talk about the third rail we touched, and why we shouldn't have written this ability. Okay.
I saw this ability and I got so excited.
Anarchic hordes. Now we have to contextualize this in the world of the reality that this doesn't have like battle shock immunity floating around. Okay. And there's plenty of things that shut off your ability to use Inspiring Presence. So, context. Sure. But, Anarchic Hordes. While this unit has 20 or more models, models in this unit can contest an objective while they are within 9 inches of it instead of 6. This is a third rail. This should not have been written. I don't know how powerful it is. I can't appraise it. I have no idea. What I do know is that it's a really big deal. Because I understand how to do the math of pi r squared. Okay? And this particular 14-inch pizza we just created contains 2 of our old 10-inch pizzas plus, right? Like, it's just a lot of pizza. And the fact that you can contest from, you know, blocking off objectives becomes wild.
It's not possible.
Becomes
like,
basically impossible. Yes, correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the literal space you have to fill becomes so massive on the board. You also have, you're also going to create a lot of overlapping objective areas where, like, a unit can only count toward one objective or another. They can only contest on one objective or another, but they can flip round to round.
Right. So you put them in the middle and then and have additional stuff kind of around them, like the small buffing, and you have the buffing units stay on the like split objectives, and then you just wherever the heat is, they move their numbers to that objective.
Yep. And this is a unit that, as we just mentioned, can also get a 5-up ward and so on and so forth. That is a thing that we talked about earlier. This is a crazy ability. This shouldn't exist. Okay? Like, it just shouldn't. It skews every like calculation in the game goes completely off kilter when you can take units from objectives from 9 inches away. I don't even know if it's powerful. Might be bad. I don't know. I literally don't know how to appraise this. It is so wild. But like the math of this game and the battle plans and everything is very much designed around the, you know, sort of the nature of the size of objectives and how that affects mobility and what you have to get to and how you block and how you teleport. Like all the fine interactions of this game revolve around that simple math, that simple truth. And it just got demolished with this ability.
It becomes funny when you have like, you know, because obviously this is going to outlast like any individual GHB or whatever. And it like for things of like, you know, some of the things have been like whole, you know, contest a terrain piece in their zone or whatever. Like it becomes like infinitely more hilarious that you're grabbing those from 9 inches away with this unit now for like the grand strats and stuff like that when those things show up in the battle in the GHBs. It'll be real interesting to see how this ends up panning out.
Mm-hmm. So, Paul, any thoughts on the anarchic hordes or stabbers and shooters in general?
It sounds like they'd be a really nice ally in pretty much any destruction.
You're not wrong. 60 of these boys.
You could bring it. No, you could go to 40.
Yeah, you're right. You go to 40.
You can
40 of these boys seem like a nice little pickup. Yes, indeed.
And the 5+ ward.
Yeah.
To take a little support hero, you know.
Absolutely. Not a bad call. I love it. Paul coming in with the tech. Okay. Hadn't even thought about allies. Yep.
Well,
Still strong.
They couldn't be in giant armies, but they could be maybe.
No, giant armies don't have allies.
Right, but so they could do orcs, maybe.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right on.
Can we do Thunder Tusks and?
I don't remember if they have. I don't think they have Gitz as an ally. I don't remember the allies.
I don't think so. Yeah.
The Moo clan is gone. Oh, sad.
Artorius Rex, but Vince, I thought you wanted Gitz to be the book that broke the most basic rules and created their own win conditions. Well, not like this. I feel like I'm literally like what's her name in the Matrix. Not like this. Not like this.
With this 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really care about Rippa Snarlfangs. Like, they're fine, they're cool, they are what they are. They're 110 points. But I did want to talk about the Snarlfang Riders, Wolf Rider units, because they're super cool dudes. 12-inch move, 5-up save, 2 wounds. They got their little grot bows. They got their stabbing stickers and their jaws. These guys are real fun. I liked these dudes a lot. They get +1 to charge, which I like a lot. They're very not brave, but whatever. I don't know if anybody will actually run these. I don't know if they have a place at 135 points. Like, they're fairly expensive, what they are. But they are a fun, highly mobile, interesting wolf cab unit. And when they redeploy, you can reroll the dice that determines the distance it can move. In addition, immediately after this unit redeploys, it can shoot. If it does so, it can't unleash hell later. What a just fun ability. See, that's the kind of thing that I don't have any problem with. Like, it's an interesting twist on this one thing. You still have to, like, expend something. Redeploy is naturally risky. Even rolling 2 dice, it's still, not the most potent ability in the world. So it's cool. What I don't like is that they do have the 6-inch cheater pile-in. But that is a thing they have. They have the 6-inch cheater pile-in. So they are both good at charging and good at running up to 6 inches and then jumping on a unit. So it's fun. So cool. But hey, they're neat. What a neat little bunch of design around these guys. I doubt we'll see them very much, but I think they are very thematically appropriate, and I like them. They felt like Goblin Wolf Riders to me, and I thought they were, other than the fact that 6-inch pile-in exists and it shouldn't, I thought they were real cool. I really liked their little can't catch us ability.
I wish we had a hero. I wish we had a chariot. But
sure, yeah, keep going. Let's plumb this well.
Yeah, I want Grom the Punch back again, but I'm sure he'll show up in the old world.
We'll get him eventually. The Squig Herd, 120 for 12. They're battle line with a Moon Clan General. Now, oh boy, I couldn't actually write the move of any of these units into the Warscroll builder because it doesn't work. Because now they heard our cries and the world has improved, and we are
so
all happy about that. Because now, instead of being everybody random movement, they finally figured out that completely random movement sucks. It just sucks.
Unless you're Fanatics. Then it's okay.
Which is fine, because Fanatics don't ever really use it, right? For the most part. They, the Loon Smasher Fanatics don't really use it. The Ball and Chain guys. The other dudes, whatever. Okay. Squig Herd now moves D6 plus 5 inches. So between 6 and 11 inches is their move. Meaning you can't, roll out and get, like, one bad. Just like, oh no, they moved 2. Or 3. Mm-hmm. The worst. Okay. Herding Squigs. This unit cannot receive commands. However, at the start of your hero phase, you can roll 1 die for each Squig Herder in this unit. For each 2+, you get to return D3 slain Cave Squigs. For each 1 Squig Herder in the unit is slain, because they eat him. Which is fun. And Squig Gone Wild. Each time a Cave Squig in this unit flees, before the model is removed from play, roll a die on a 2+. You can pick an enemy unit within 9 inches of that model, and that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. These guys are interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure I buy the 36 pack yet. I'm not sure I don't, as just like to go bomb it. But I think maybe I buy a couple of MSU things of these guys. They're Bravery 3, and I'm not sure if I care if anybody runs. I want to see what this like. I think people will play with these in different varieties.
What I'll say is this.
I think these guys are good, is what I'll say. But I think we're going to play with what number to take them in. Go for it.
They can pretty reliably get across the table.
Yes.
And you're shoving 72 wounds into their face.
Yeah, sure. This is all true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And when they flee, it's 9 inches now. So let's say
that
you make
to reach behind the line.
Yeah, so then let's say that you make, you kill 10 of them. That's 20 wounds coming into these guys. Because you could give them a 5-up ward pretty easily as well.
Sure.
Before they go in, they go 5-up ward. They go into something hot. You're going to remove a bunch of them, right? Because they have almost no defense other than ward. But 72 wounds on a 5-up ward. Let's say that they lift 10 of them. Okay.
Sure. Which would be a lot of damage. That's 20 damage. Got through.
That's 20 damage cutting through. Okay. So you're going to lose
on average that 10 more. Because
you're going to lose on average 10 more, right? And then you're going to roll 10 dice, right?
Yep.
And on 2-ups, you do mortals for those additional 10 that go to a unit within 9 inches.
And if you happen to kill the unit out, let's say you roll those dice and happen to kill out the unit you were attacking, if it didn't already. And Ramion's making a perfectly good case here. Remember, these guys have got gobs, 3 attacks base. On the charge in Maws of Jork, they could go to 4 attacks base. They could have, like, there's actually many ways to increase the attacks of these guys, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But
yep.
And as he says, you can have them without problem move up to 24 inches and on the charge do 2.4 damage against a 2-up save per squig. Like, it's a lot. They could get the rend from the little dorks, the 5-pack of dorks whose name Gobapalooza. There we go. Sorry.
Yep.
A lot of silly names. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm always risky on the double reinforce of something that's so potentially fragile, like for it to just evaporate and not work in your favor in some way. But that being said, if you're right, that if they make like 10 run, okay, and so you're down to like 12 dudes now in the unit, or 16 dudes in the unit, right? Like you lost 10 and then 10 more run.
Yep.
But if you're with the mortal wounds, you're able to zap the unit they were in combat with to death. Okay?
Or you kill that support hero. 9 wounds.
I understand the value of that. That's the smooth brain play of
that's a bonus. Right.
The what I'm saying is if you zap the unit they're in combat with out of existence and then it rolls to the next turn, this is a Moon Clan unit. So if it can rally,
it just pops out.
It can rally on a 4-up, and I'm gonna roll 20 dice and get 10 squiggies back. Oh wait, I can't rally. I'm sorry, they can't receive commands. Never mind, I can't.
They can't receive commands.
Yeah, no. I can't rally. I'm
sorry.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have 6 herders, and you're gonna return most of the time 5d3 just from the herders.
Yeah, there you go. That's the right answer. That's how I was thinking of it. Yes,
it's on a 2+, 5d3. So you're gonna put back another 10 just from herders.
On average,
So like, I think there's real gas in just a suicide bombing unit of squigs.
Right. Yep.
Because it's just a problem that has to be dealt with. And if they don't deal with it, with all of the attack buffs and with all that heat that they're going to come in on, like, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. No, they're good. Like I said, yes, they have their own rally that works in melee. Yes, exactly what Tom said.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're good. I'm just not sure what the right number is. Is it missiles of them in MSU, or is it big packs of, like, in what you're describing? I'm not sure about that yet. I don't know. But they're strong. Squig herds are strong. No doubt.
So I am seriously considering.
Yeah.
So,
Paul, you happy about squig herds?
They're fun. I prefer the hoppers, but it again, it comes down to the opportunity cost of, like, do I take the squig herds and I take those points away from the hoppers, or I take them away from the bounders, or, like, they're good, but they're not as fast as everything else in the squig list.
Sure.
You know, and everything else is going to be faster, and you're going to be more reliable to get them across the board because they've got 10 plus d6 instead of 5 plus d6.
Yeah, and when you could get these guys run in charge and auto run 6. Like, you could get these guys across the table.
Well, absolutely, you could, but you could get the squig hoppers in a better position, and then you could rally them on a 4. Like, and it's the thing where when we get to the squig hero, right? Like, he does fun things with the squig, with the bounders, right? And they do fun things together, and so it's hard. It's hard decisions, which is what you want from a Battletome. Of, like, do I go with the squig herds? Do I go with the squig hoppers? Do I go with the bounders? Like, there's so many different options in these lists.
Yeah.
And a lot of it.
Good call. They can't be auto ran, by the way.
Yeah. We keep tripping on that. Yes, they cannot. That cannot receive commands. Keeps tripping us up. Yeah. It's a hard thing to reset your brain to, right?
You can get a +3 movement from the mushroom feeder guy though.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah,
right.
But you can do that to the squig hoppers too.
Sure.
All
right, let's talk about the Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig. He's pretty straightforward. 8 wounds, 4-up save, 140 points. The important part about him is he chain activates with Boingrot Bounders. That's his thing.
Right.
Yep. So, there you go. That's what he does. It's fine.
I mean, 3 damage on the stab is pretty fun on the charge.
He has 3 damage and Ren 2 on the stab on the charge. Yes, this goblin he's still a 4-up to hit, which is good. I'm glad that stayed 4-up to hit. It should be, but it's good. Cool. Squig hoppers and bounders. We mentioned them. Let's talk about them. 180 for 10 battle line all the time. Hoppers are and 140 for 5 battle line with the Moon Clan General, the bounders. And they pretty much work a lot how you thought they used to. That is to say, the squig hoppers go boing, 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 and after they make a normal move, run, or retreat, you can pick an enemy unit, and for all the models you have, the pass across models they have, you roll a die, and every 4-up it causes a mortal wound. Other than that, they're quite a good cheap delivery mechanism, as it were. Not as cheap as a squig herd, but by the way, the Loon Boss moves D6 plus 7 inches. These guys move D6 plus 10 inches base, so they are quite speedy. At between 11 and 16 inches movement. That's quite fast, obviously. So cool. And they are, a good, decent delivery mechanism for a bunch of fang-filled gobs and everything you might want to do with that. In very high numbers. But they are on 32 mil bases, which is always a concern, of course, because they are still 1 inch reach down the line. So, yep. The bounders, however, are 140 for 5, or 280 for 10, or 420 for 15, which they can go up to 15 because they can be battle line. They have their little boing smash, so they can, which is when they make a charge move, you pick an enemy unit within an inch and roll a die for each model. On a 4-up, they suffer a mortal wound. Do these things fly? Yes, they all fly. I just didn't bother to copy that in. Yes, all the squig things have fly.
Except for the herd.
Yeah, go ahead.
Except for the herds don't fly.
The herds
that's the thing is, you can't deflect them. You can stop the herds because they don't have fly. You can't stop the hoppers. You can't stop the bounders because they have fly. As long as you get a decent move. Right.
I think one of the heroes doesn't have the fly description in it.
Correct. The one on Giant Cave Squig can't fly. Yes.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Currently, he doesn't have that.
The hoppers and the bounders can fly.
Yeah.
Yes, I just didn't bother to copy it over because I was more concerned about retyping. I had to retype all these by hand, folks, so it took a long time. I apologize. I didn't when it came to companions and mounts and champions. I was like, look, they got them. It's fine. We all know they got them. Okay. Cool. And then Boingrots also, their little poke and lances can also get neg 1 or an additional 1 rend and 1 damage. So pretty scary.
Yep, they're nice. And these are guys that I've been playing with, and I played with the herd. It was okay. It just doesn't move far enough for me, and the not fly is a real downfall against the hoppers and the bounders. And I get that there's utility, but it's nice to have a wave that just can get where you need it to go.
Yep.
And then you can double activate with the bounders and the hero, and it's fun. And yeah.
No, I agree. My only saw on the herd is just the meat. 72 wounds is a lot of wounds.
Yeah.
It is a lot. And the just a quick note on the movement. The bounders are D6 plus 7, like the guy on the Giant Cave Squig, as opposed to the hoppers, which are D6 plus 10. So there you go. Okay. Because I didn't have pictures, Harold. So here we go, of everything. I had pictures of some. Here we go. If I would have waited 6 hours, I would have had pictures of everything. But hey, who knows? That's the next. I got to work on these days in advance of things. Okay. Loon Boss on Mangler Squig. He's 370 points now. Oh boy. And in my estimation, I think he's worth it. It's 14 wounds, 4-up save. His move is, D6 plus 10 to then back to D6 plus 10 through the 7 and 5 chain. He still has the get better. He's actually the most dangerous now on his last 2 wounds completely. He doesn't just go back to the beginning. He gets actually better. The Moon Kutta, the little guy on top, got a little bit of a buff at 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage base. He lost the little goofy thing.
Mushroom.
The thing he could do that gave him like +1 hidden wound or whatever. Now he's just 3s and 3s all the time. They have a really good Kersplat rule now, where after this unit makes a charge move, pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this unit, and roll a die for each model in that unit to a maximum of 10 for each 4+. That unit suffers 1 mortal wound. I like that quite a bit in the current season. Makes them real good against big units, not as good against individual heroes, obviously, but it's cool. This thing obviously is a monster and can do monster things, and has the monster jump with the monstrous action we talked about earlier in the beginning of the show, so he can then bounce again deeper into the enemy line. He can also float away, like all the loon bosses can, so he could bounce in, attack, bounce away. Very, very mobile hero, right? When he dies, his little explosion is now on a 3 inches to 6. And he can still bite the moon, but it's not a command thing anymore. It's just once per battle. At the start of the combat phase, you can say we use this ability. If you do so, until the end of that phase, add 1 to wound rolls for friendly squig units while they are wholly within 18 inches of this unit. So, +1 to wound, pretty good in a big old radius. Once per game, nice buff. And obviously, this guy has some real damage potential. Makes a lot of attacks with some good abilities. Like, he's solid. You can also, if you're going for the pure build, the pure sort of damage build, you can make it so his Fang-filled Gob and Balls and Chains are on 2s and 2s at and then Ren 2 Ren 2 on the Gob as well, which is cool. So you got multiple attacks at Ren 2 on 2s and 2s. That's a solid profile to be sure. See, be sure. Okay, you get it. And then the regular Mangler is basically the same thing, but without the hero guy. So no Bite to Moon and no hero guy. And 260 points. So, it will definitely be shot at in this army because it is your best. If the enemy has guns, they will all go weapons free on this guy. It will be the only logical target because this is the thing not immune to shooting.
How much is Kragnos again?
I don't know, like 720, I think. Something like that. 700, 720. Just a lot. Curious. Like a lot. Jen S., if you were someone who bought the Squigalanch, would you run 2 Loon Boss Manglers or 1 of each? Probably 1 of each, because I think you need to soup. If you're going in hard on the Mangler strategy, I like him when he's souped up and you can't soup up 2 of them, so you might as well not pay retail for the second one and just get the cool abilities out of him. Like, you can only use the monstrous action ones, you can only take the artifact ones, the command trait ones, and so on and so forth, right? But I could see one being like a fighty one and one being a bounce away one or something, or I don't know. There's options. Okay. Sorry, I just jumped like 50 pages. All right, here we go. Troggoths. The Dankhold Troggoths, I don't think they're worth it. You can see the War Scroll. They're 180 points. I just don't think they're worth it, mainly because of what we're about to talk about on the next page. They're fine. If you really like them, cool. I don't think they're bad. I just think they're at best average in a selection of Trogs that are good. Really good. That's my issue. Trog Boss, I'm in for. Trog Boss, 12 wounds, 4-up save, greater regeneration. At the start of the hero phase, you can heal up to D6 wounds allocated to this unit. In Glogs, he's healing D6 in each player's hero phase and each player's combat phase. As long as he's fighting.
And you can take the command trait to make him a monster with 14 wounds.
Yeah.
You can. Or make him also like cast a spell or whatever.
Yep.
And he's a Trog, so he can get +1 to save and all of that from the moon and so on and so forth.
From the item, he can get a 4-up ward.
This is all true statements. I think this guy's a house. That 20 extra points is doing a lot of work. I agree. That's the problem. Like 180 for the regular dude, but 200 for the special guy. Like this dude is pretty beastly. Like, yes, his damage is still very swingy because he's on the D6 as opposed to the D3 plus 3, and he's 3 and 3 instead of 3 and 2. I don't care. It's not really why I took him. He just becomes an incredibly resilient, quality piece that you can stack a bunch of stuff on. And importantly, here we go again. Shepherd of Destruction. This is what we were teasing earlier. When this unit issues the all-out attack command to friendly Gloomspite Gitz Troggoth unit in the combat phase, until the end of that phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of weapons used by that unit. I wish at this moment so bad... Yeah, melee units, yes. I wish at this moment so bad that I was Halo and I had like little meme buttons I could press on my little board, because I would press the meme of the dude just falling down the stairs drunk, out of the front of the trailer. Like, picture that in your head. That just happened. I'm sorry, what? Like, what? No, but really,
+1 to hit. +1 to hit and +1 attacks. What's wrong with that?
I see no issues here. Fantastic. Just fantastic.
Just roar them. It'll be fine.
Just roar them. That's all you gotta do. It's easy. Yeah, so this guy's super good. I like him. I think he's great as a general. I think he's great in a lot of ways. Like, cool. I'm down. I'm down like a clown. Leroy Jenkins. A normal Dankhold out-damages an equivalent unit of Rock Guts, though. Even with extra attacks, Dankholds still keep the lead. Yes, that's why I'm not using Rock Guts, Rock Trolls, to attack, because they're not the attackers anymore. No, that's my new hot pick. I've always been a fan of Fellwater Troggoths. Did I mention that? I've always been a Fellwater Troggoth supporter. They're 160 for 3. They're battle line with a Dankhold General. They have a Vomit that's a 6-inch attack. It's short range, but it hits on 2s, wounds on 3s. It's Ren 2 and does D3 damage. And then they have their 2-inch range 4 attacking spiked clubs on 3s and 3s, neg 1/2 damage. Is that right? I want to make sure I got that right.
Neg 1/2 damage for the Fellwaters, yes.
Okay, good. I have the right numbers. Just wanted to make sure. Yep, I got the right numbers. Okay, cool. They regenerate as well. D3 in the hero, and then D3 if you're fighting in Glogs. So that's cool. They're still neg 1 to be hit. Now we need to get to the
phase. Yeah, at the start of the hero phase. Yeah.
Start of the hero phase. Yep, it sure is. Now we need to get to the power, baby. Let's get vomiting. Noxious Vomit. If any wounds caused by this unit's Noxious Vomit are allocated to an enemy unit and not negated, that enemy unit is drenched in vomit until the start of your next hero phase. That is a very long time. While a unit is drenched in vomit, subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target that unit from anybody. And, in addition, ignore positive modifiers to save rolls for attacks that target that unit. A unit cannot be drenched in vomit more than once at a time. Okay.
That's kind of good.
Great question, Assistant Ref. No, they are not elite, and no, they do not have a champion. So you do have to babysit trolls because they're dumb. However, let's run a simple math experiment, shall we? Let's put these guys into the most brutal anvil we can imagine. Let's talk about some Nurgle Chaos Warriors with the banner. Okay, they've got the banner kicking, all that kind of thing, right? So these dudes are on like a 3-up base, and they can easily get +2 to save, so they're on like a 1-up effectively. It's a very hard unit to move, right? But if a single wound resolves from Noxious Vomit against those guys, which is questionable, I admit, because you have to get through.
Does a single one get rolled? That's the question. Does a single one get rolled?
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be on 1-up against your -2 rend, so it's like, do you get a 1 or 2, right?
Okay.
But if it happens, then all of a sudden, that unit is now no longer on a 1-up save against your melee attacks. Okay. Instead, they don't get any of the bonuses, and they're -1, and your rend, they're on a 5-up.
I thought it was minus. Isn't your rend -1 or is it -2 in melee?
On the Noxious Vomit, -2. On the Spike Club, -1.
Right. So when they melee, they'll be on a 4-up.
No, 5-up. Rend.
Didn't you say
the vomit itself causes them to be -1 to save? You're a base 3-up save, and you can't benefit from positives. They're -1 from Noxious Vomit. They're -1 from rend.
Yep. So -2 total.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Welcome to a 5-up save. You're dead, Chaos Warriors. Get out of here. Get lifted.
Ironically, you would think that Nurgle would have a vomit ability.
Yeah. Like, just get wrecked.
Yeah. Best day ever. All Mystic Shield.
All do defense, nothing.
All of it. All of it. Yeah.
Just nothing. Yep. Like, these guys slap.
No, the banner doesn't work. Is it a positive modifier? Then no, it doesn't work. Right?
Yep. Ignore positive modifiers.
Is the banner's a +1 to save, right?
No, the banner's the Nurgle banner's -1 to rend. So I mean, it would put him back on a 4-up if you didn't kill the banner guy.
Yeah.
But remember, of course, this is all just the baseline troll. Like, we're not talking about putting extra everything on them.
What's meaningful is that these guys are assisting another actual hammer unit, whether it's them or whether it's a big hero or whether it's, or whatever. Like, I know that you talked about these guys being a hammer themselves, and that's fine. I think I may like them in 3s better than as like a block of 6 or 9.
Oh, I agree. You want to just be spreading that vomit around and get really in there. I will also point out that, yes, people are saying the 6-inch range is limiting. It is, and I'm glad it's on a 6-inch range. If this was longer, it'd be unbelievably brutal. People can sometimes redeploy away from you. Like, redeploy isn't a panacea, and if people are constantly blowing their command points to redeploy away from me, I'm pretty happy about it, honestly. Like, that's great. Roll that die, and on a 50-50 chance, I still get to shoot you. Right?
Yeah.
And it works on Unleash Hell.
Yeah.
So,
and to me, that's where the gas is when they come in.
Yep. So I just think they're great, and at a battle line 160 for 3, I'm in like Flynn for them. It's a super great Unleash Hell ability. It's great on the O, great on the D. They're strong. Rock Guts, I have a question because I'm not sure how one of their abilities works, but that's fine. We can get to that. There's still good melee damage sort of potential with 2 attacks, 3s, -2, 3 damage. As said, that they're okay. They still have a ward of 5-up. Oh, I'll point out that you could give the Fellwater 5-up wards with by being Snuffling every day.
Yep.
So, but here you are. But they have it base. Still have regeneration. They throw boulders, and I don't know how this works. Okay. Like, do not use the attack sequence for an attack made with throwing boulders. Instead, pick one enemy unit within range and roll a dice. Add 1 to the roll if the target has 5 or more models. On a 4+, that enemy suffers 1 mortal wound. Do I roll for each troll?
Before you didn't. I think you do now.
I think I do now, because it specifically says 1 attack per troll.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I think I roll 1 per troll.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Pretty
Which is better than the 1d3.
Correct. Yeah. 1d3 total. Yeah.
So if I got a little pack of 6, I roll 6 dice and get 3 mortal wounds out of it. So that's cool. So yeah, there you go.
I don't hate these as a 6-man anvil, honestly.
Sure.
Because like they don't need to be babysat other than to have a hero nearby, and so they're just going to do work.
Yeah, it being an attack profile sealed it in my mind. We had to just walk through it there.
Yep.
As I typed it out, I was like, wait a minute, how many of these am I throwing? But yes. All right, let's close out with the spiders and get rolling. Scuttle Boss on Gigantic Spider. He does what he does. His the thing that matters. They all have spider venom. It's what you think it is. 6s to hit, deal mortals, and 5-ups in the moon, and blah blah blah.
But the
His is
damage
two
is
mortal
variable based
Yes,
based
the
on
mortals
the
is
monster.
terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. And they all have wall crawler and all that. They still, walk over terrain and stuff. Not people, but terrain. Scuttle away. Once per battle at the end of the combat phase, you can say this unit will order his warriors to scuttle away. If you do so, pick one friendly Spider Riders unit wholly within 12 of this unit. That unit and the unit you picked can retreat one after the other in the order of your choice.
Awesome.
It's fun. Yeah, it's a fun ability. Super cool.
Mm-hmm.
The to hit also went from 4+ to 3+.
Yep.
And the damage on the spear went from 1 to 2.
Yep.
That's super nice.
Yep.
And he's 130 points.
And the move went up to 10 inches. And the wounds went up to 8.
And he can take the cool headdress that makes him only be hit on 5s.
Unfortunately, he has a mount, so he's targetable. He's not a GC.
He's still a much more reliable unit than he was.
No, he has a mount.
He does have a mount, yes. He's just
So
saying
he's not a GC.
No, he's not, but he's just saying he's much more reliable than he was, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm saying, but he can still
that.
take the headdress and make that so, even if he's targeted, he's only hit on 5s, which is, quite defensive. Like that's,
Yeah.
Spider Riders are still Spider Riders. They're 90 points for 5. They're battle line with a Spider Fang General. They still do what they do. It's venom in the wall crawlers. They have bad bows and bad spears. They refuse to dip in this venom.
Yeah, like this was one ability away from being a usable scroll, and it just means that let their bows and their weapons get the poison.
Yeah, and that's, to be clear, that's a little mistype by me because I just didn't fill out all the words because I was running quick. It's if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by this unit's fangs is 6, that attack causes 1 mortal wound. Like, to be super clear, I didn't type it there, but it's only on the fangs do you get the mortal wounds.
Yeah. If it had been the fang, spear, and bow, then you would have a usable unit that has a very interesting niche in the army. Mm-hmm. As it is now, it does not have a purpose.
Yeah. Web Spinner Shaman, little 65-point boy. He's a little boy. He is a wizard. He's a 1-cast wizard with a ward of 5 up.
Cheapest wizard in the army in the game now.
He's a super cheap wizzy whiz.
65.
Yeah, he's cheap as chips. Speed of the Spider God is his spell. You can pick a friendly Spider Fan unit wholly within range, invisible to the caster. Casting value 4, 24-inch range. Until your next hero phase, that unit can run and still shoot and or charge. If you get a 8 or more, you get D3 friendly Spider Fan units instead. So, yep.
That's fun. That's fun. You can get an Arachnarok across the table with that.
Sure. But yes, he'll probably show up a lot just because he's so god awful cheap as a wizard. Like, just that is bargain basement wizarding right there.
And he can curse, do that, the 24-inch curse of the Spider God, if you'll remember.
Sure.
That makes the 1s and 2s fail.
Yep.
So he's a great delivery mechanism for that, even in like normal troll armies or whatever.
Paul, are you excited about the Arachnarok Spectre? Apparently is what I wrote there. That's fun.
Yes.
With War Party. Can we talk about how they finally did it? They went and did it. This unit counts as 10 models for the purposes of contesting objectives. Hallelujah, we got there.
Right, because you have the dudes on top and the monster. There's 10 models.
Unfurl the banner. Mission accomplished. Paul, what do you think about this guy?
Oh, he's awesome. I mean, besides the fact that all the Arachnaroks get 3 base damage now from the monster's fangs, it's just it's fantastic. And the move is now a static.
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't go down.
Inches. Yep.
It's just 10 inches. So you're not wandering around with.
Do they bracket at all?
They do.
Oh, they do bracket. Yes, but the chitinous legs.
The attacks and the to hit on the monster's fangs brackets.
Okay.
The chitinous legs go 8, 7, 6, 5. They don't go down to 4 anymore.
And the monster's fangs never get worse than a 4 up to hit.
Correct. So no, yeah, it's great.
Let's move this along. I want to talk about that.
All right, we're right on. Web Spinner Shaman on Arachnarok coming in at 270. Not a bad deal for this guy.
Nope.
Not at all. He's got his little Catchweb Spider Shrine still. +1 to casting rolls and unbinding rolls for friendly Spider Fang wizards while they're wholly within 12 inches. Given a bonus to cast to that 65-point wizard, not a bad deal at all. Still got Venom, still got Wallcrawler. Has the Venom of the Spider God. Lets him pick a friendly Spider Fang unit in range on a 6-up with 18 inches until the start of your next hero phase. Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds caused by the Spider Venom ability of that unit. If the unmodified hit will roll 6, it's only if you roll a 6. The unmodified hit has to be 6. It's not on the 5 and 6. It's just on the 6. On the 6. If the casting roll is 10 or more, pick up to D3 units instead of 1. Cool. That dude, good. Solid. Like, 270s, I think reasonable for the package this guy brings to the table. I really do.
And getting a bonus to cast, for him and for buddies nearby is great.
Yep, for all your little cheap boys. And
double
then,
caster, single.
All right, the flinger. Let's talk about it, Tom. So they got 10 little spider bows. I see, unfortunately, their little spider bows only have a 16-inch range. They need to go over and talk to the shooters. Really get up to the better range there.
But all the spider bows now are 4+5+ instead of 5+5+. So it's not massive, but it's a difference.
The spider learned how to walk with more stability to keep him in.
And the bows on the back went from 8 to 10 too. So you've got more attacks.
Yep.
So
because they're shooting 2 per.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that flinger. The attacks characteristic of a flinger is equal to the number of models in the target unit to a maximum of 20. In addition, if any attacks made with this unit's flinger score a hit, just a hit, hits on a 3-up, so it's not that hard.
Any of the attacks.
Yeah.
Score a hit. Yeah.
After those attacks have been resolved, roll a die. On a 2-up, the target unit is entangled, and you have its move. Cool.
What's the range on that?
36 inches.
I love it. I love, this is wonderful tech utility. Being able to have a unit's movement at 36 inches reliably.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, it's going to not be as reliable against a single model.
Sure.
So against a single model, it's going to be a 3-up, 2-up to have their movement. That's still really good. Those are numbers that I would gamble with Beyond, right? To cut his movement in half.
Okay.
And so I think that it's reliable enough for movement hindrance. And that combined with it being able to actually maybe do some damage against multiple higher model count units. I really like everything that this is doing.
Okay.
This is a very interesting option.
Yeah. Well, and if any of them hit on a 3+.
Right.
And then on a 2+, they're entangled. As opposed to before where it was if on a 6. If there's more than 5, you can make it a 5. And then if there's more than 10, you can make it a 4. No, this is really reliable comparatively.
Yep, it's just hitting on a 3+. Because that's what you said, right? It's 3+, 4+ for the profile, or 3+, 3+?
3+, 3+.
3+.
So you can all-out assault and go 2+, 2+. 2+ to hit, 2+ to entangle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's if you want to have movement, it'll do that, even if it's not doing damage. So I think that this is a wonderful tech piece. I don't know that a lot of people are going to run it, but I think that it brings some really interesting options to the table.
Cool. Very good. I'm not sure I'm sold on it, but that's okay. All right. Skitterstrand of Ragnarok. He's 200 points. He can do the ambush from beyond that we talked about earlier and take other units with him. And
if
then
you're in the sub faction.
I refuse to retype this last war scroll into the thing. So instead, he just gets to be a picture. You can still take a giant because some things are just legacy.
I noticed that. It's great.
It's just him. It's that guy. It's what you think it is. He does what you think it does. The big difference with this dude, and it is a big change, is how his drunken stagger works. He had the dumbest rule in the game before, because if you rolled doubles in the charge, you basically fell over and couldn't attack or couldn't charge. Now instead, he just gets free 18-inch charge, rolling 3d6 on that charge, basically. And he can declare from 18 inches away. And you only fall over and do bad things on a trip roll.
Which you could re-roll if you wanted to with a command point.
sure. And like the statistical difference between getting doubles and getting triples is so wildly different. Okay. It is insane. So, but he's still here. Why is there a giant here when sons are an army? Because, it's legacy. Some things are just legacy. The giant was the classically part of this army, and so he still is. This is their nod to the history of the thing. Assistant Ref, can the Skitterstrand go back into reserve till turn 5? Don't know. FAQ question. Because the Skitterstrand can be put into reserve, attack, and then go back into reserve.
Yep.
But the trick is, if he's in reserve, like by the normal rules, he cannot use that ability anymore after round 3, because any unit in reserve at the top of 4 is destroyed. Okay.
But if he's in play at the top of 4 and then goes into reserve after that, the destroy trigger happens at the top of 4, not at any point later, right?
But then theoretically, you can't put him into ambush at the bottom of 3 and then put him back out at the top of 4.
Right.
So
but you'd fight or you'd like go into ambush like let's say 4 and you could pop back out into 5.
The answer is the answer is, by the way, it's an FAQ question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but that is a super great utility, though, to be able to go in to attack, and then at the end of the combat phase, just pull them out. And then ambush in again.
Yeah.
Right? That I think that's a super nice ability that the rest of the Spider Fang don't have, and it adds even more utility. So you could ambush in, and then put the, Arachnarok with the Spider Party or the Flinger exactly where you want to, and then at the end of the combat phase, you can say this. It doesn't say you have to be in combat.
Right.
You can just pull them out and ambush them in again.
Yep.
So he functionally is just a foot of Gork for spiders for free with no casting cost, and you can take as many as you want.
Well, when you drop him each time, he has to deploy outside 9, so it's still going to be a long bomb charge. So he won't reliably get in every time. But I think that he certainly does have use.
No, Jeremy. Yeah, and then the 3 spells, I'll just talk about them just very quickly. They don't have slides for them.
4.
The 4 spells, sorry. Yes, correct. Mork's Mighty Mushroom, it's pretty good. Does a lot of mortal wounds in an area. When you set it up, it's cool. There you go. And it's got a decent enough range on 66 inches. The Arachnid Cauldron does what the Arachnid Cauldron does. It joins to a model and gives them an additional spell and lower access and stuff. And, people have to die or it gets hurt. The Scuttle Tide can still pop out from terrain and does some decent mortal wounds. That's the cool part about it, is that it doesn't have to set up near the caster. It can set up within 8 inches of a terrain feature visible to the caster. So it's got just incredible board presence as to what it can do around. And it can still then affect an area of the board, because if they run, retreat, or charge around it, they take more mortal wounds. So that's cool. It's also, by the way, very, very hard to dispel if it happens to be near any Arachnaroks. It only dispels on a 9+, which is a fun new ability.
That is super fun.
Yeah. And then the Malevolent Moon. What's notable about the Malevolent Moon was that it has a very long range, being a 12-inch base and 12-inch predatory move. And you roll a dice for each unit within... after it moves, you roll a dice for each unit within 3 inches of it. On a 2-up, it's D3 mortal wounds. Gloomspite aren't affected by this ability. And while this endless spell is controlled by a model in the Gloomspite Gitz army, Gloomspite Gitz units in the same army are affected by the light of the bad moon while they're wholly within 12. So it is yet another potential bad moon option. Yep. But it's cool. It's a super long range, actual, potentially decent area damage spell that also casts the moon way across the board. I really like the Malevolent Moon because I like its range. I value sort of being able to go downtown with endless spells quite a lot. The moon is 80 points, the Mighty Mushroom's 100 points, the Arachnid Cauldron's 50, and the Scuttle Tide is 85. So there you go. All right, quick summary, and let's close this out, because it is late. We've been going a while, folks.
Well, I mean, it's Gitz. What do you expect? They're amazing.
There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. All right, quick summary from me. Much more versatile book. lot of different combinations, some real standout units, some very cheap heroes who can have a real impact on the battlefield despite their diminutive nature. Battle shock is much more of a concern now. Protecting the terrain piece is still very important though, because it does a lot in regenning a lot of different units, potentially a lot of different units. I don't like some of these rules. I think they're out of place. They have a cool idea. It just doesn't fit the Gitz. The third rail of touching the objective capture thing scares the living crap out of me. But overall, this book is absolutely great. Like, I really do think so. Like, I take issue with a few small things. I think the spiders are still a little underserved. But they're better. Like, they are better. Don't get me wrong. And I think that there's a lot more potential here for some fun mixed armies to play the units you want and to make a lot of really fun armies. And I do think there will be some opportunity costs and choices in what exactly how much you're putting into buffs, into units, and so on and so forth. And I think it will respond to skilled play really well. There you go. Tom, any final thoughts from you? And then we're going to let Paul close it out.
I mean, I may have put in an order today for all the Git stuff, including a Squigglanch Battle Force box.
I think that says everything. Paul, your final thoughts?
I already own the Squigglanch Battle Force. Otherwise, I'd probably be buying it. But no, it does all the things. It does all the things that you think that it should do, and it does it well. It asks you to make some really hard choices, and I think that's also a sign of a very good book. And I have all four of these forces, and I feel like I can run them individually, and I would have fun, and I could run them all together, and I would have fun. So, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, another example of this was I was one of the first raffle folks at Holy Wars, like my first ticket that got pulled, and the first thing that I grabbed was the Getting Started Gitz box. So
it's a good one.
Like Trolls and Squig. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
But overall, good stuff. I expect we'll see some points moving around here or there. I think there's a few things that are undercosted, a few things that are a little overcosted, but that's always life. You know, points always get refined over time. That's like the least problematic thing. Who really cares? Like, that'll just get dialed in over time. So that's not a problem. I think the foundation is good. We got good bones. We got a good book. It's a day for celebration and happiness for Gitz all around. Like, if you've been a long-term believer, or if you're just Gitz curious, now is the time. That's all right. There's no gatekeeping here. Even if you're a recent convert to Bad Moon welcomes all. And I think this is a good book. I'm happy with it. It continues the trend of really solid 3-inch books. So, yeah. or 3.0. Sorry, 3-inch. 3-inch books. 3-inch books.
Like, what?
They're that thick. No, it's not that thick. Sorry. 3.0 books. Sorry. Hilarious. All right. Anyways, thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to subscribe. Do all those things. The road to 100,000 is so close we can just taste it. Not that it really matters in the end. It's just some weird number, but YouTube seems to care about that sort of thing. So there you go. So we will too. But thank you, Paul, so much for being here, buddy. It was a great time. And thank you all for watching. If you've got any thoughts about anything we talked about, drop it down in the comments below. Hit all those buttons. Don't forget, if you want to support the show, there's a Patreon down there. You can chuck in a few bucks for that. It's focused on hobby and taking your next step on your personal hobby journey and review and feedback. As always, though, I thank you so much for watching this one. We really appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.